Well, we might as well get started. So we'll take up, and on the general plan, we'll start wherever Mr. Mauer would like to have us start.
Thank you, Peter Mauer, Planning Department. So this is the last step in the Planning Commission's review of the draft general plan before it's forwarded on to the Board of Supervisors. What is before you today is the revisions to the land use map. A draft number 3 had gone out in December of 2014, was part of the public release of the draft general plan. There was a lengthy comment period. We received a number of comments on the plan, including the map, somewhere in the range of 90 to 100 specific requests for changes to the land use map. What I've done is tried to address those specific changes, also have made other changes just based on discussion that we've had here, discussion with members of the community, review of the maps, and just what I felt were good planning decisions to modify the draft map. This is a draft. It can be changed. It can be changed here, it can be changed by the board, and ultimately after the environmental impact report is prepared, there'll be further opportunity to make changes. But hopefully the bulk of the changes should be made before we prepare the EIR, so that we don't risk the possibility or the necessity to have to recirculate that EIR again and go through the process more than once. So a week ago, we posted draft number 4. I provided you a spreadsheet of the lists of the properties that had specific requests for changes, but that does not mean that you are limited to make changes to just those parcels. Any changes that you feel are appropriate, you have the authority and ability to do through this hearing process. I don't know how long this will take, and I've tried to think of a way that would be as expeditious as well as convenient for the public to be able to weigh in. My thought was that we'd sort of go through the community sort of in numerical order by assessor's parcel, just as I've listed them on the spreadsheet. But we don't want to have people sitting around for days waiting for their community to come up. So my thought would be that we would start with those people who are here in the public today to address specific concerns that they have, so that we can address those and then move on. And then after that's done, we can start on the list at 4:30 or 5 when we decide to call it a day. We'll continue the meeting to the next available meeting. We'll discuss that at the end of the day. And then more opportunity until we get to the point where we go through the whole list and there's no one else in the public to show up to say, to advocate for a change. So if that works for you, that's sort of what I would suggest we do. That
I like that idea.
Respect the people that are here, take the time off from work, so they can get on with their lives. So the draft number 4 land use map has been available online for about a week now. It's an interactive map. You can zoom in on a specific parcel or look at it at a broad level. Does also provide hard copies for some of you. I've got a couple extra copies here for those who didn't get it if you want to take one home. They're also available for sale for the public, but we also have it posted on our website so you can look at it without having to pay for the cost of the printing. With that, there's a few areas that were sort of significant in changes. Those are outlined in the staff report. And I don't know that I really need to go through that at this point in time. I think really the issue is, what's the most appropriate at different locations. I've tried to look at surrounding land uses, constraints, infrastructure availability in determining what is appropriate. And based on the overall direction of the plan, its policies, the goals, the vision statement that was prepared, ultimately it all needs to sort of tie together. But this is the area where I guess you could say the rubber hits the road. Individual properties are affected by the land use designation to the point where people can see it. The policies also affect properties' ability to develop or to do whatever people want to do with their properties. But this is where you see the difference. And so I think this is where most people sort of tend to focus on as we go through a general plan amendment process or a general plan update process. So there's no right answer. It's really based on what we think from a policy perspective for the county is most appropriate direction that we're going given the expected growth, the constraints that we have, the opportunities that we want to provide, and what we think would be appropriate looking 20 or so years into the future. As we have it, the draft number 3 provided about 5 to 7 times the amount of developable area on a conservative basis, given that not everything will develop out at its full capacity. So if we have an area that's designated for 6 units an acre, it might develop out at 3 or 4 units an acre just based on the physical constraints, the lot design of a landowner, and a variety of reasons. So conservatively looking at what might occur on some of these properties, we figured about 5 to 7 times the amount of growth that is likely to occur over the next 20 years can be accommodated within the plan. Draft number 4 has increased in some areas the potential for development, and so that number is higher. I have not had the time to calculate what that is. If I can do that before the next meeting, I'll have that for you. But just to keep that into perspective is that, the market's going to drive how development occurs in the county, or how much development occurs in the county. It can be constrained to the point where it's directed to certain areas, which is what we're trying to do as a planning profession, to say this is where it's appropriate for this type of development, here it's not for these reasons. And that's what I've tried to do with draft number 4, is look at the areas that have the infrastructure, have the capacity for development, and also fits in with the surrounding land uses, and those areas that maybe should be reserved for resource production or larger rural parcels. But there's nothing, I don't have anything personally at stake at any of this. My professional recommendation is, I think this makes sense, but there may be other reasons that I don't know about, specific either constraints or specific opportunities that it would make sense to change that. And so this is your opportunity and the public's opportunity to present that information and suggest changes to the map. So with that, unless you have any questions, I would recommend that we open it up in the public and we start looking at some specific issues. What I do have is our GIS system up. I can pull up existing zoning, the past general plan, whether it's in a water sewer district, slopes, all kinds of, that whole list of data on the side is available. So if we've got questions about a place, if the speakers will say the assessor's parcel number, I can zoom in on that site, bring up the information as we discuss it. So that would be helpful for me to be able to have the assessor's parcel number or street address, but the parcel number is easier. And that way we can bring the site up on the map and look at the facilities that are there. Any questions?
Just a thought, and I apologize for being late today. Should we try and sort of group the people that are here by location? So that we're kind of talking about, Mountain Ranch, and then we might move, for the speakers, so that we're kind of talking with them.
I think that's up to you. I was thinking that might be the most efficient, but then looking out over the audience, I see people from all over the county here.
But rather than if, let's say we have 2 Bursons, here a Burson here, and then, 3 speakers later, we're going back and we're looking at Burson, and as if we just did everybody from Burson, and then moving on.
Well, that would make sense.
So with that, you had kind of a plan as far as, where would you start with that?
Well, my list was in numerical order by APN, which starts up in the Tamarack area.
So we could start there.
So we could start there.
Shall we? Yeah, let's go. Anyone from Tamarack area? No? All right, then where are we going?
How about down to West Point?
West Point.
Wilseyville?
Come on up. And welcome.
Hi, my name's...
You're going to set the bar now for
Hey, I
everybody
am.
else.
My name's Kevin O'Mara. The APN in question that we sent a letter on back in March was 10/19/39.
That's the parcel number?
Yep.
Okay.
He's the one,
Oh,
two,
right
three,
here,
four on the
okay.
list.
Well, 010019039
Right, we got it.
039-000 technically. 019-039. To your left, to your left, to your left, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, basically what we have is, it's a 94 plus minus acre piece of property. It is in Wilseyville. This is Route 4 you've got up there now?
Yes.
Okay, basically what we've asked is to have this kind of got a split zoning because the front end borders what is the historical community of Wilseyville. The store and whatnot is across the street from our piece of parcel on the one end, but then it runs all the way to the South Fork of the McCalmy River. So it's a very long split piece. So what we've asked for that the front piece be zoned more consistent with the community and the back end be zoned back at RR 1 to 5. Most likely it's going to be 5 because of the configuration of the land in there with the drainages at minimum. But to treat it as a one chunk of land because of where it sits and how it sits doesn't make sense. Currently it's unclassified and always has been.
So you're suggesting that the,
What I'm suggesting is on your on the map up there, if I can come up and just show you, it's probably easier just to...
yeah, because I'm not following it.
This pink here,
Uh-huh,
to that line, all the way to this line, is the piece of property.
okay,
It basically does that, and it goes around these parcels,
okay.
it goes like that.
Excuse me, in order to get on the record, you need to be on, and we have a pointer here if you want to use the pointer.
That might be better. So, is this a zoning map, or is this the?
This is a general plan land use map, and this was what we
So it
developed
doesn't,
from
this
the...
is commercial, though.
There is no
Well,
commercial.
the zoning is also shown on this, so I can
Oh,
delete
that's
that.
all right, okay,
It
so,
just shows what the existing zoning
Okay.
is.
okay,
So
that's
the whole
fine,
property is zoned RA 20
right now,
right now.
okay.
We've shown the upper part as historic center,
Okay.
which is a mixed use as they ship
Right.
commercial and residential. Rural residential, which is the 1 acre minimum parcel size for that area, and working land, which is a 20 acre
Okay, that
minimum
helps.
on that lower portion.
Thank you. So,
And I think that's consistent with what this would be draft for, or what you would be recommending.
yes,
We would be happy with what you have there because of the makeup of the land. Again,
okay. So you're pleased
you
with
know,
the way it's?
that's the town, the store's right there.
Right,
There's, you know, the only place to build, to expand Wilseyville is here, because basically everything else is already down to 1 5 acre. There's no place to go. This is the old mill site, which has basically got other issues. This is recreation that has other issues, environmental issues, because that's the old mill site.
okay,
So we would be happy with these designations,
okay, with the way it is.
with the way it's proposed
Okay.
in Route 4.
Perfect. That was easy.
Which is leave that up there, that way people can...
Well, so, just for clarity purposes, he's saying that's one parcel.
We have 3 different land use designations on one parcel,
Okay,
which is okay.
and we've had that all along?
There are some places we have split zoning or split land use designation. It's not a problem, and particularly with a larger piece of property that, you know, the situation, the whole site doesn't necessarily lend itself to more,
Kind of a mixed-use commercial.
yeah,
How big is that parcel?
94 acres.
94, okay.
and the topography, it drops off steeply to the river canyon as you get further south. So it sort of makes
This
sense.
right, that line right there is straight into the South Fork. It's a sheer drop-off, basically. And then there's a drainage that runs basically up through the middle of it, so this is steep over here, so this back here is pretty restrictive to do anything. This up in here is doable. The front basically would be where, logically, if you're going to do anything for Wilseyville, now that I finally convinced Mary Pitto 20 years ago that there was a community of Wilseyville when we talked about this originally, so.
So there's approximately about maybe 10 acres of mixed use, maybe 20 acres of rural residential, and the remainder of the property would be working lands.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other Wilseyvilles, West Point? No, I guess not. So where to next?
How about Railroad Flat
Railroad Flat?
or Mountain Ranch?
Mountain Ranch? Oh, we have a taker.
My name is Stephen Fairchild. I operate Moaning Cavern, California Caverns, and so on. We do have California Caverns in the Mountain Ranch area, and there are portions of that property which are not being included in this. We have several different sections, and they're all connected together and in our operation.
Could you give us a parcel number and then we could probably...
Yeah, I can try.
Okay.
66.
At Mountain Ranch, we have 036-008-033, 58.46 acres. We have,
Hold on.
Is that zero, okay, gotcha, I see it,
Where, about what one?
Sierra Nevada Court, page 2. That's from the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, it has his name there next to it.
Okay. That's about 19 acres. So should we just start with that one?
okay, I'm not sure which, I got my drawings here. There are two others. Can we just give you those numbers too?
Okay, but
Or-
we'll probably have to discuss them
Okay, let me,
independently, but you could, are
see
they
which
right
one
next to
is
each
which.
other, or they're a group, or?
Well, they're all connected together in one big chunk.
Okay.
I can show you on the map. There's one that's up on the northern end. Do you have a map in front of you that, or should I go up to the, can you bring up the Mountain Ranch area? Actually,
So, yeah, here's the town of Mountain Ranch, and then the California Cavern area. Yeah.
Here. This is 049. This chunk, this and this are all part of the same operation. These two.
Okay.
And it's like they zone the same, but it's no longer recreation zone. So I'm not sure what we call recreation.
I don't, maybe you can come back to, now that we know where they are, you can come back to the microphone. That would be great. Okay, so the other ones are,
They're on the page 7.
7, thank you.
Yeah, towards the bottom, there's
Okay.
like 4 of them.
Is that one right above it, 5 up and then 3 down on page 2?
So the two parcels you're referring to is this piece here and this one here, correct?
But there's,
This
I
one
don't,
and this
I
one?
can't, I
Can you
can't.
see the little?
Looks like 2 of them are the Sierra Nevada Corp, and one of them's his private one, if you look at it.
I don't know which one. The largest one is 129 acres, and there's a 19 acre, which is a small one onto the right, and then the one to the north is 58.46 acres. That's 033.
Yeah. 6 acres.
And they're all, as far as we're concerned, just one chunk of land.
so what is it you're requesting? I'm just-
Well, we believe that those other two which are being used and will be used for recreation purposes, just as California Caverns is for tours and various operations. And we would like them to be consistent so that we could continue to do what we do.
So you would want those other two to have a general plan designation of recreation?
Yes. Although
Is that what you requested, or?
Yes,
Okay.
that is, although I was informed that recreation zoning is now something else, so it's called recreation resource.
Commercial recreation
There you
is
go.
the land use designation.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to make a buck. Or two.
So,
Because we do have plans that include the both of those, and in fact, we already have activities that include both of those, so.
so Peter, looking at the map, it looks like he's surrounded by resource production, correct?
Mhm.
And then the darker green is residential,
Yes.
This dark green here is public land.
okay?
This sort of turquoisey color is rural transition A, which is a 10-acre minimum parcel size. So it's a rural residential designation.
Okay.
And the light green again was what?
This is resource production.
Okay.
So the zoning, I just noticed that this parcel is already zoned recreation. So that makes sense to change that. And the additional 20 acres is zoned unclassified. I don't know if there are existing recreational activities going on the site. If there is, then it makes sense to just,
What is on that parcel, sir?
on the 19 and a half,
Yeah.
19.64 acre parcel.
Yeah, basically, it's some hiking, and there's a trail that leads through there to the other area where we can do, and are doing occasionally, trips up in the tops of the hills there. And we plan on having basically, hopefully, a long zip line from that upper part down into the lower part. I can point it out, but that's all part of the long-term plan, is to do all of that stuff.
As
That was-
recreation?
Yeah, as recreation, like we do at Moaning Cabin. We have the zip line and the climbing walls, and we have
Right.
all those things. And a whole list of things that we would,
Yes, yeah.
Recreation activities that are sport-related.
Right.
In other
And,
words, to bring the tourists up here, bring
right,
their
yeah,
money.
we want more of
I
them.
like that.
We do, we like them. So Peter, is there a problem with that requested change? I mean, it kind of makes sense, it seems like.
I don't necessarily see a problem with that. No, I don't.
I'm looking at your notes on here, or whoever's notes they are from way back when. Adjacent to rural residences, next to rec lands, potential expansion of facility consistent with existing zonings. It doesn't seem to me like there would be any issues there.
Yeah. Yeah, the notes even support it.
It does. I'm supportive of his request.
So I think we can sort of do this by consensus. I don't know that we need an individual vote on each one.
Unless there's a
Unless-
issue.
Unless there's, yeah,
Yes.
if there's.
Yeah, and I'm supportive of his request as well.
See him here.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll cross that off the list. Next. We have, let's see, take the easiest ones first. Well, let's take Moaning Cabin. There are some properties, some of you,
Mr. Fairchild, that was only 3 parcels, and you have 4 listed on here.
He's still going.
that's 3 parcels at California Caverns, that's correct.
Okay, so
Only
the 4th one at Calaveras, it's in line with your APN numbers. Is there a 4th parcel there?
California Caverns?
Yes?
Maybe,
got one
I have
set?
033, 003, and 04.
No, it's just those two at
09.
California Caverns. There's, I think at Moaning Caverns and the area around there
Yeah.
was,
Moaning Cavern has 5. Mitchell Ranch property is 2. Ryan is 1 property.
Peter, can we get those specific APNs so that we can check it off here, because he's got so many on this list, I
That's
think I'm
true.
getting confused.
yeah. So those two APNs were 36.
Wait a minute,
008.
wait a minute.
Oh,
Okay.
36.
I
Well, I have
have
33 to 35.
Okay, no, that's a different site.
Okay.
The two that we just addressed,
36.
36, 008, 033, and 38, 006, 003. We agreed that we'd change those to
Okay.
commercial recreation.
They're on page
And the other one is already there, yeah. Okay.
And the third parcel. So now the other site that he is interested in is the,
Over by Vallecito.
yeah,
Okay,
Cal-
so Peter, you just gave us 2 APN numbers, we just approved of 3.
Right, what's the other one?
The other one was.
No.
The other one's already there.
the other one already is designated.
It's already
There's
designated.
3 parcels that make up the California Caverns property.
Okay, and we were looking at the top one and the side one?
Yes.
And we're looking, so I've already sort of moved on, but yeah, the one above it and the little sort of triangular shape that was in
You
between.
cannot move on till I'm done asking questions.
Just say yes.
Okay, yes, yes, sir.
All right, so next are the ones on page 7.
Yes.
I don't know what page 7 is. Is that the Moaning Cavern or the?
Yes.
Okay, so Fawn,
Okay.
did we read the notes on that one?
We read the notes on the other one?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay, so those notes, pre-entitlement, which is fine, adjacent to,
So,
So this is the property here that's already recreation and zoned recreation. The properties that I think Sierra Nevada Recreation Corporation or Mr. Fairchild own. It's
I can go to the map and show you if you'd like.
Bridge owner. So Mr. Fairchild owns these 3 parcels here, 3 residential, rural residential zone properties here, as well as some larger tracts on the other side of Parrot Ferry Road. So let's talk about maybe these 3 here first,
Now,
or is it 4?
if I can go to the map, I might show a little, some
You got your
interesting.
pointer there?
Can you use the
Some
pointer?
interesting history, because the lines aren't right on the maps.
Mr. Fairchild, you've got the pointer right there. You could stay at the podium.
Well, I don't see that well, actually. Is this the pointer?
Yeah.
can you help him?
Wait a minute.
Turn the other way and hit the green button,
Green button.
and don't shine at my eyes.
That's all.
Don't put in your eye.
I really can't see the map from here that well.
So I think we're talking about these parcels here.
Yeah, can I just point?
Sure. But save your commentary until you get back to the, go ahead and point, and then save it until you get back to the microphone, so everyone at home can hear you too.
Many years ago, they screwed up something. None of these lines are at an angle, they're all vertical here. This line goes all the way down to here, this line goes down to here, this all moves this way on the real road. The maps all are like 50 years out of date.
Yeah, we heard a little of that this morning.
So it's kind of complicated, these are much bigger. And this line actually goes on this side of the property over here. So and then I bought this property and it becomes it doesn't matter, but it's all screwed up. So when we describe it, it's not as on the map.
Okay.
as you have.
Well, it's good Joan at all then.
I don't know if that note helps or not. That was the lawsuit, in fact, that determined who owned Moaning Cave, believe it or not. It's a huge saw. So yeah, the 028, 028, 033, those are all residential at this point. We would like them
Okay.
to be recreational.
You want recreational?
Yes.
those are currently zoned rural residential. There are homes on the other side of Moaning Cave Road.
That's correct.
I have misgivings.
Well-
It seems as though that those parcels,
Kind of provide a buffer.
right,
That, yeah, we don't have hard plans for those at this point, except for tours that you would walk on and horseback riding. We have equestrian trails, hiking trails, and all that kind of stuff in those locations. So it is a recreational use,
But there are houses on it.
not on them, no.
Not on yours, across the street,
Okay.
Mr. Mauer was saying.
And the neighbors are all friendly.
And they're way off the road.
so they're all on the east side of Moaning Cave
Right.
Drive, except for the lower one. And there are houses built on these parcels here. And these are undeveloped. And then the facilities for Moaning Cave is here.
And so when we're looking at the map in this layer that you're looking at now, he's wanting to take which two and turn into recreation?
These four,
One,
this one, 2, 3, and 4.
and your concern about those not being recreation would be what?
Well, they're zoned residential. I don't know if the people here, bought homes along this road thinking that there's a residential parcels, next to them. And, if Mr. Fairchild wanted to expand his recreational activity, then he could go through a process of amending the general plan and zone change to change that to recreation, rather than the county doing it through its EIR for the general plan itself.
As a general note, talking to people, my neighbors, they would way prefer we not put houses there. So, but
So, Peter, if you're looking at it like that, just asking questions here, what about the parcels that are currently bordering his recreational use? Expanding his recreational use, keeping the upper portion as the residential that's bordering the other residences.
So these 2 or 3 here,
Yeah, so what harm would there be in turning those into recreation since they're not bordering any current residences if he wanted to do his recreation there?
well, this parcel here is residential with, looks like a home on it. But again, it's what we think as a county is the most appropriate for the long-term, 20 years future development of the county. So one way we could look at it is we want to encourage tourist activity, and so where there's a potential for expansion of that, then we could plan for it. We still need to go through a zone change at some point in time in the future. You probably need to go through a conditional use permit for expansion of the activity. But if this is an appropriate location, if we think it's appropriate for expanding that recreational facility activity, then that would be an appropriate thing to do.
'Cause there's a
If
lot,
we think
there's
it's-
a lot of recreational activities on that road. I mean, it's a ton of open space, but you've got, what was the gold mining, you've got the church group out there that does a lot of stuff out there. You've
Oh,
got
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of recreational usage on that road with a mix of some homes, but you've got a lot of steep canyon area in there too.
that's correct. Which can be used for recreational things, but not
But you could use
necessarily
it
for
for
houses.
hiking and
yeah.
horse trails
Yeah,
and things
all
like
those,
that. And there's a lot of rock. I have, yeah.
So certainly as you go out Paris Ferry Road, there are, there's the, what's the tunnel that kids swim through, is down there, natural bridges. There's other, there's
Yeah,
the
it's a lot
the
of
cave and the zip
recreation.
line, there's the church facility. It leads down to
So
Malonis?
if we propose that we go with what he would like and we go recreational, and a neighbor is opposed to what we have done, they have a second opportunity to come forward and say no. When it goes to the supervisors, they
Yes.
could at that time say, hey, we don't approve of what he did. He made a statement that wasn't our statement. You know, because he said the neighbors would be okay with this.
Yeah, there'll be at least 3 more opportunities.
Yeah.
2 at the board and 1 with the commission.
Because personally, I see that as recreational area. When I think about people going down to Parrott's Ferry, they're going to his caverns, they're going to Natural Bridges, or they're attending, there's also a big event venue out there as well, and I can't remember the name of it right now.
And we also have the land on the other side that's
Right.
going to be recreational.
So I'm inclined to say that if he wants recreational use there, I think it's appropriate use.
I think it's an asset, you know, and we can build homes a lot of places in this county, you know, and it's an asset, and he sees it as an asset. It's a way to expand our economic base through tourism, so I agree, I would support that. If I were a neighbor and are we going to watch people on their bikes or walking on trails, I think I'd rather do that than look at some rooftops, so I would be in support of the change too.
Are you going to put a Disneyland in for us?
I hope not.
And true, any further, really, any development would be subject to,
Approvals.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Steve, what's going on up at the confluence now? Is there anything up there?
Not much going on there that I know of. They used to do more. They did rafting, but I'm not aware of much going on there. There's some potential there if they wanted to sell it.
Any other discussion? Are we?
I agree with you two. I mean, and it's promoting more tourism, which, you know, is definitely a direction a lot of our county would like to go.
So the 4 lots identified, this one, this one, this one, and this one, would be changed to commercial recreation.
Right.
Land use designation. Okay. The other remainder of his request is
Okay.
On the other side of the road.
other side of Parrots Ferry Road. We've got a large parcel here. Well, several parcels here, and then the Sierra Nevada Recreation Corporation owns additional parcels in your principal, the Sierra Nevada Recreation Corporation. So I think we have a total of 5 parcels, maybe 6. So we've got leading down further into the canyon as it gets closer to Natural Bridges and the New Melones Reservoir, several large parcels. We've got BLM land or Army Corps land on a couple sides, moving closer to the existing cave facility and back up to Parrots Ferry Road. There's additional land.
And we're asking for recreational on that as well?
Ah, yes.
Well, especially
Where are you
those
going to
ones,
live?
I was just like, look, the ones down in the south, it's like totally surrounded by the BLM and
Well, you've
Corps of
got,
Yeah, the
Engineers.
rest, the government land comes free, you know, we can hike and do anything we want there.
you've
But
got a home way down low, though. Is there a home on that parcel?
there is a home, yes, on,
Home on one of the lots, I'm not sure where.
actually
which one.
2, but 1, yeah.
The bottom one
They-
that says house out?
It used to be the 037 as a house and all that on it, facility, fully developed.
And their access is off of Parrots Ferry, so your land is to the back of them.
Yes, well, yes, I've got easements and accesses
Peter, can we see how big their
everywhere.
parcel is?
Would you like me to point them out, or?
So 037 is this one here. It's 54.4 acres. Is that where your house is?
That's the
The
house,
one way
yeah.
up?
Got
Okay,
the house,
so-
yeah. That's where we have our Taxpayers Association meetings.
So there's the house up on the hill there. There's a larger piece, and it looks like, is there a house on this parcel as well? The one
I'm
to the
not
north?
sure.
43, 043?
043, there's complete facilities, but no house there yet. There's wells and electricity and power and all that stuff, yeah.
And then as you move further south,
017.
you've got the drainage that goes through there, and it leads down to, this is where Natural Bridges is down here.
So how does that work if his home's on the recreational property? That's okay?
That used to.
We do allow residents on recreation.
One?
Yes, one per parcel. I guess I should have brought the zoning to
I
sort of,
brought it.
So the zone allows sort of a broad range of different recreation uses, some by right, some by use permit. I don't remember off the top of my head which ones are by right and which ones are by use permit.
So this is on the east side of the highway that we're looking at now.
So what numbers are those?
These are 66.
Okay.
And we've got 17, 18, 66, 030,
I got
17, the last four items on that page.
Right.
Yes.
Can you bring back up what the zone colors are again, please? Let me look at my own, I guess I could do this.
The land use does, not the zoning, land use designation.
And in,
Yes.
and in your notes to 17, 18, and 43, it says, just says pre-entitlement.
That was actually the notes of my predecessor, and the concern was that by a land that's sort of, it's zoned unclassified, it's really not planned for future development, that is the county essentially doing some of the environmental work for a landowner for some future use that, essentially the taxpayers are paying for the analysis of the land use change.
Right.
And are we pre-entitling something we really don't know what's going to happen? So we're saying all of this area, 30, 160, maybe 300 acres of land, should it all be designated recreational use? We really haven't done any kind of analysis of what that would mean. And it's not just, parks. It could be mobile home parks or RV parks, other more intensive recreational activity. That's the commercial recreation land use that allows, a broader range of commercial type of uses out there. So that's sort of the dilemma that we're facing is, at what point say, yeah, this is appropriate, but how far do we go in,
So that would be a much more intensive sort of analysis than working lands?
Oh yeah, working lands is the 20-acre minimum. It's not the 40-acre resource production. It's where they're already pretty much divided into smaller, 20-acre lots. But it's primarily used for grazing or, rural residential type of uses. Primarily timber and grazing.
If we were going to add recreational areas, which I think is a positive, you've got New Maloney's Lake right down the road. So if you said to me it was going to be an RV park, hello, it just seems appropriate. And then on the other side of the bridge going into Tuolumne County, there is a mobile home park set up in the hills. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a senior park, 55 plus. I shouldn't say senior out there.
What you're talking about, lady?
Pardon me?
Nothing.
I get myself in trouble again.
So the parcel we're talking about is this one here, this one, and then moving further north, these ones here, and this one. So all of that area and down, back down.
The philosophy here is if you like the scenery, buy it.
Right? I agree with you.
And keep it that way,
I'm not opposed to him having the recreational zoning there because I think it's an appropriate use for that area. And he's done some great stuff out there.
Thank you.
He's you're an asset to the county. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Any
Not
opposed?
everybody agrees.
Well, don't say that now. We're trying to give you your way here. I'm good with it.
I think it's appropriate, considering what's there already.
Agreed.
I do too. I mean, I do
Agreed.
understand, Peter's comment about, us doing, as taxpayers paying for part of his analysis of what the impacts of that would be through the CEQA process. But, again, as far as a land use, it makes sense to me.
He provides jobs, he pays taxes to
Yeah.
the counties, it's all good.
I currently have about 80 employees, yeah.
See that?
Yeah. So do we have some consensus on this?
I think we do.
Yes,
Yeah?
we do.
Yeah, okay, all right,
Change will be made.
okay.
All right, let's see, we did the Mitchell Ranch, the Ryan property, the Larson property, Valspino's, all those are in there. I think that takes care of it then.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Well,
coming.
thank you for your time and your service, as they say.
So we've got,
Excuse me, no, go ahead.
Were you still following?
no, I was,
Could I make a comment on this?
Sure.
Thank you. Colleen Platt with MyValleySprings.com. Just a couple suggestions on this process for people in the audience who are trying to follow you.
Yes.
It's very confusing what you're doing. We've got the chart, but it's not clear which parcels you're doing when you're doing them.
This one was, I agree, was a bit confusing.
Even the ones, was it page 3, was it page 7?
Yeah.
There was actually 8 parcels on page
Yep.
7, and you did 4 at a time, and then you did
Yeah.
4 at a time, and we had
Yeah.
no idea which
Yeah.
ones you were doing. So that would be really helpful if you could take it a little slower
We'll do that.
and state the APNs up front, so we have a time to find you, see what you're doing.
Good suggestion.
And then the second comment, excuse me, is that I think you're making consensus decisions without getting any public input.
Well, you're talking to us now.
But you hadn't asked for it before this, and I was just going...
I didn't know I needed to, but I'm
I
certainly,
was
let
just
me
going
make
to
it clear now.
suggest that before you
Yes.
reach your consensus, you might
Okay.
ask for input. And actually, one third thing is that you're changing to a designation commercial recreation, which the public doesn't know all the uses that means. And Peter alluded to uses that we wouldn't have thought of. We would have said parks, but there's more
Okay.
uses. So if you're going to change it, it would be helpful to explain what that means.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
So where are we going next?
Any more public comment?
Any more
No.
public comment? Peter?
why don't we jump back into District 2? I think unless there's anyone else in Mountain Ranch, Wilseyville, West Point, Glencoe, or McCallum Hill.
McCollum Hill? Come on up. Ooh.
Hi, my name is Richard Smith. I'm in McCallum Hill off of Highway 20, on Highway 26. And it's my understanding that you were going to originally change my zoning, and as it stands now, you're going to leave it as is.
Mr. Smith, could you give us your assessor's parcel number?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
016-020, 042, and 053.
What page is?
Page 1.
Page 1.
Page 1.
Fifth one down.
Okay. So you're saying that's 2 parcels?
Correct.
Okay. You want rural residential, and the county concurs with your request of
Right.
rural residential. That's what it
Yep.
looks like.
And I'm so happy I can't stand it.
You're so happy you can't stand it.
Any public comment?
Was that what, you were just going to tell us you're so
No,
happy?
that's it. I have really no reason to stand up, but I thought, well,
Well, thank
Exercise is
you.
good.
Is there anybody here that wants to protest his,
He's so happy he can't stand it.
thank you, Richard.
Next.
Okay, so this one's okay.
Hello, my name's Chris Niebuhr. I'm a longtime Calaveras County property owner, taxpayer. I own multiple parcels throughout the county. The one that's the most important that I own and has been most contentious is a historic landmark I own in McCollum Hill, APN 18921.
Third of an acre.
This piece right here.
And we are looking at what? Describe it, please.
So it's designated as low-density residential, which is a range of residential with a density of 1 to 6 units an acre. It's presently zoned R1, which is consistent with that designation.
So here's the problem. The McCollum Hill Community Plan was created under conditions which levy an obligation, a legal obligation, on the County of Calaveras government. This was created because the McCollum Hill Community Plan was created within the realm, with the assistance, with the guidance of Calaveras County government under the express promise that it would be included in the general plan update. This is a legal obligation. It is not something that anyone can decide they will negate or walk away from. That designation is not what was decided by the citizens of McCollum Hill in their community plan update process. I think maybe there's a misunderstanding of what this country's about. And we can go to the legal basis for this if there's some misunderstanding here as to what are the supreme laws and what are the obligations of the government after we pay property taxes.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Just because I want to have a better understanding of what you're referencing here. The zoning that is currently there, is that not the zoning that you want, or you think the community
The general plan designation. We're not talking about zoning.
Okay.
Yeah, the general plan designation.
So what was the designation supposed to be for him?
I don't know, what was the designation?
I guess that's where I'm confused. What are we missing? What's not there? What
What
component
is missing in revision 4 is a enactment by Calaveras County government of its legal obligations to serve the voice of the citizens as clearly defined in the McCollum Hill Community Plan.
So, Chris, it says that you requested, was it residential 1/2 acre? Is that,
I did not request anything other than that Calaveras County government follow its legal obligation to enact the community plans into the general plan update as promised.
So what was your request that
Okay.
was in the community plan?
What I want is the community plan of McCollum Hill to be enacted into the general plan update.
I think it,
I think we
We
made
did
that.
do that. It is.
Last meeting and the meeting prior, that's the motion we made, and there was quite a few citizens in McCollum Hill here to represent that, sir.
Well, that land use designation is not consistent with the McCollum Hill community plan.
Okay.
So is it because of plan development? Are you missing the PD on there? I guess we're misunderstanding what you're wanting us.
It's not a plan development, no.
Okay. So why doesn't that fit into the community plan if we adopted the community plan into the general plan update?
It is not exactly the same as the draft that was prepared by the citizens in McCollum Hill. That's the difference. There is no legal obligation, contrary to what Mr. Niebuhr, sorry, is saying. I mean, we worked with the community. There were statements made by individual board members and prior staff that we would work to incorporate the community's desires to the extent it was consistent with the general plan. We've been back and forth about inclusion and not inclusion. As you stated, Commissioner Stopper, that the last meeting, we concluded our review of the community plans, and the final version was recommended for approval to the board by the Commission. There is a community plan. It is not the same as a community plan that was created several years ago that Mr. Niebuhr would like to see, and that's the difference. He wants it exactly the way that it came out of the draft from the working group in the community.
But what is different about the land use designation?
The main difference was that there was a half-acre designation in the McCollum Hill Community Plan that we don't have in the general plan, and I felt it was unnecessary and appropriate to have that. It's half-acre fits within this designation.
So the proposed designation of RLD accommodates the half-acre lot?
Yes,
Yes. So in substance, it covers it.
yes.
All right.
I don't know what else
I'm
to say.
not getting a clear feedback here. I'm not done, but I'd like a little feedback.
Well, I think the feedback is-
Am I getting through or not?
Well, I don't know, are we getting through too, Chris? Is that the designation that you've requested, the one that's here accommodates, is basically kind of the same. So I guess we're not sure where the conflict is.
The conflict is that in the McCollum Hill Community Plan, property 18921 is a community center historic, which is in accordance with the fact that it is a historic landmark. It has always been used in a high-density situation. It's on the second most main street in town.
So wait,
and-
so you're saying that the requested land use designation is not residential 1/2 acre? It's something else? Community center?
Community Center Historic.
Okay. Okay, sorry to interrupt, but I don't think that's not what we have.
That was the designation on the McCollum Hill Community Plan,
Got it.
And the single-family.
as approved by the entire community of McCollum Hill after a years-long process of communication, collaboration, and production of plans.
Right.
Peter, can you put the marker on his parcel? Okay, I see it. It's the L shape there, backwards L. Is that the only parcel that was supposed to have that community historic designation?
No, there's 2 lots away There's the other one at the old McCallamy Hill Soda Works, which is also a historic landmark. And going up Center Street, we quite quickly get into, within 5 lots, we're into the historic district where everything is similar or the exact density land use that was approved by the citizens for 18921 in the McCallamy Hill Community Plan.
Okay, so Peter, if we were to look at draft 3, would draft 3 show us which ones were in that community center historical, which parcels were included in that land use?
No, because draft
Draft 3 is flawed.
was probably less consistent with the community plan land use designations as desired by the community. So the changes that we made along China Gulch Road at the last meeting incorporated some of those. So the reason why this is not designated as the community historic is that this is all residential area. The community historic land use designation does not have anything to do with the actual historic buildings on the site. It is a mixed-use designation. It allows commercial uses on this property. Having this designated as low-density residential does nothing to change the fact there's a historic structure on that property. And the county does not have any kind of historic designation criteria that would require this property owner maintain property, as historic. We don't have a historic district or anything like that. That from the standpoint of architectural standards. Now we have architectural standards adopted for McCallamy Hill, the design guidelines for McCallamy Hill, that as new development occurs, we try to ensure that it fits in with the historic character of the community. But that's different than the land use designation of designating a site as mixed use in the middle of a residential area. And that's why I am not recommending it be changed to the historic center designation, which is the mixed use designation.
And that's your concern, is the potential for conflict?
Right.
And that's why the other properties that Chris mentioned, that
There
were
were
also
a number,
sort of just
and
a
we have
number
a
of kind
listing
of...
of all the historic structures that were presented, but the ones that were in the commercial area or potential area where commercial could and should expand have the pink historic designation, historic center designation. Those areas outside of that, which are residential, should remain residential so that people don't, have the expectation or that you're in a residential neighborhood and someone comes in with the commercial land use next door.
Every single part of McCallamy Hill is mixed residential and commercial all the way up and down Main Street. You have business, business, house, business, house, business. It's the nature of our community. It is not in line with the dogma, but it is the nature and the wish of our community, specifically detailed and expressly passed by the community under conditions that obligate Calaveras County government.
Agreed, it's mixed use up
Thank
and
you.
down Main Street.
All the way through town.
And that's what
There is nothing that he's describing in that town. Not a part. The expectations he's worried about do not exist. We need a reality check here.
I think driving down Center Street in McCallamy Hill, not all the houses are historical. Yes, yours is. Yes, a couple down. I absolutely agree with you 100%. But what he's saying is describing just what you are. You're both going in a different direction in my mind. He's saying that with it being R1 out there, that's a mixed use where they aren't, there are houses there that are new on Center Street, correct?
Well, the
Fairly,
70s.
within the last 2 decades, let's just say, okay? As opposed to your historical house. So with that, we can't expect people that are going to add on to that house, that can legally add on, to have to make that look historical on the other ends of the street. Am I right?
No, I think you're kind of getting things, what Peter had said, the historical has nothing to do with the nature of the house or the design. What Peter's argument is that if you have with this community center historic designation, which is kind of confusing, but it's a mixed use, which allows for commercial. So you could have a
B&B, I can throw.
Can I finish?
Huge, oh, go ahead,
Just let me
Marty.
finish. Then we'll get, and that the potential for conflict when you have like basically an island surrounded by residential that's the concern, is that you're creating a potential for conflict. The situation on Main Street is that that's already very much mixed use. And in fact, the original community plan had much more of a patchwork of residential and then this commercial center or this commercial historic center designation. So it looked, a little yellow here, a little pink there. And it was the county's recommendation is just like, hey, to allow flexibility, why don't you just make it all pink? So that was a change that occurred after the initial community plan was submitted that the community did agree to when we had our last town hall meeting on that. So it's not so much historic structures, it's about what you could use with the building and potential conflicts.
The potential conflict issue is moot because the designation was passed by the entire community of McCallamy Hill in the McCallamy Hill Community Plan. It was unanimously approved by the town.
Well,
This is a contrived potential for conflict. It does not exist.
It didn't, we've seen the community plan has changed, and it's changed since the community weighed in on it. And it was reviewed by this commission a couple of weeks ago with lots of people in attendance that agreed basically with the changes. So, it has changed, Chris. It's changed on, parcel that I have, and it wasn't cast in stone. Now, the real question is this commission, does your request for the community center historic designation, does that make sense from a land use standpoint? Because that's kind of where we are now.
Well, my view is entirely different.
I understand that.
We can drop into it if you'd like at this point, because I think there's weight being given to rules that are outweighed by supreme laws.
I don't know how far we want to get into the supreme laws.
I think we have to talk about what justifies legal government in this country, because the voice of the citizens is the sovereign voice in this nation, and there has never been a clearer voice of the citizens than is illustrated in the McCallamy Hill Community Plan under the umbrella of the Calaveras County government and under express promise of enactment.
I would agree with you about the voice of the people being the most powerful voice that needs to be listened to, sir. If that voice was one you were to voice about the community plan 2 weeks ago, I personally feel would have been the time for you to voice that. When the rest of your community was here voicing in and weighing in on what we were introducing into the community plan, sir, with all due respect.
Well, I think the precedent and the legal foundation was set well before that, when the community plan process was set up, when the promises were made, when the citizens committed their time, their money, their resources, and the citizens unanimously approved the McCallum Hill Community Plan in the town hall. That is the most powerful legal situation we're looking at here. Everything else is secondary.
What would you guys like to do? I mean, are there any other, so are you suggesting that all of the other requests, or is this just for yours?
I can't make a request on someone else's property.
Okay, so just yours, even though you're saying there are others that had the same situation where
That's their business.
that's their business?
I will support them.
Okay,
If they open their mouth, you better believe it.
okay,
And I bet a bunch of them will support me.
okay.
Yes, and I will open my mouth. A lot.
You know,
So- I want to get back to what he's requesting.
He's requesting, well, it's not correct on the matrix. He's requesting community center historic, is that correct, Peter? The pink.
Yes, that's where I understand it.
Okay.
This property here, you'd like to have it designated community center historic, or historic center.
Historic
is what we
center.
call it now.
And if we were to move forward on such a change, what would that conflict within that area, being an island of a historic community center?
Well, again, I don't think it has to do with historic. I think what it
Well,
presents
Okay,
is a bit,
is what,
it's an island in the residential area.
yeah, that's, was my point.
We're 4 lots from the historic commercial district.
This designation identifies a compatible residential and visitor-serving mix of uses that preserves and protects historic core of existing communities. Typical uses will be similar to those in the community center land use designation, but size and designs will reflect the scale and character of surrounding structures and accommodate the small lot sizes and reduce parking and landscaping opportunities in historic centers. The uses described in the community center are typical commercial uses include retail and service establishments, lodging, professional offices, eating establishments, and other support services for residents and visitors.
I have a beautiful, large, historic landmark that's a magnificent home. I've poured tons of money and work into it to renovate it to be a gorgeous B&B within 5 minutes walking distance to the shops, restaurants, downtown. And unless Calaveras County government follows the wishes of the citizens, I cannot do that, and we cannot flourish economically as a county.
Mr. Nieberg, can I just make a suggestion? We obviously need to do a little bit more homework on your parcel and what you're talking about with the community plan and the designation that you thought was going to be there and then it changed. Can we, because we have so many people that have come today, can we do some further research on your particular situation and come back to you with it, but continue on with the other people here in the room today? Would you be willing to do that?
You know, I waited my turn,
I understand.
and this is a very important issue, and as long as you try and skirt the issue of what are the obligations of Calaveras County government, you're going to be backpedaling out of how we can become economically successful.
I think each and every one of us believe in economic success, so you're not going to get into arguments there. And I'm not saying that we're backpedaling. What I'm saying is you've brought something to our attention. I don't think we have enough information to make a decision here today, and I'd like more information. If that's not okay with you, then that's all right. We can go ahead and decide which direction we want to go in now. It's up to you.
You know, I lose money by standing here. If I have to come back time and time again because of inaction over and over again, we're 10 years into this. And every time we come up against Calaveras County government, they're running away, they're hiding, they're non-productive, they're throwing away or losing plans, and it is not a correct or legal way for this government to run. We need the government to fulfill its obligations so that we can make money to pay the taxes to pay for it.
So I will say that over the last 10 years, you're right, the general plan has struggled. Over this last year, with this planning commission and the board of supervisors and our planning director, it's moved forward. This is the last component of our general plan. We have moved it forward.
Backward in my case.
Okay, but for the rest of the county, it went forward. And I am giving you you don't think so?
No.
Okay.
We don't have one document in 10 years and millions of dollars that is actually in action. Not a single document.
What we are doing here today is a document in action. If we get through this land use, it goes to the supervisors, off for EIR, and it will be a monumental moment that this general plan got off the table and can get adopted. So let's get back to your issue with your community historic, the center historic. And Vaughn, I'll let you take over and let's make a decision.
Well, I mean, that is a good suggestion, but because what I think might be relevant is to look at those other parcels that were requested, you know, your neighbors that also requested the same designation, and look at them as a whole, rather than an isolated. I mean, I think that would support more of.
The whole is the McCollum Hill Community Plan, which was discussed, worked on for years, and compromised, mapped, detailed,
Chris,
and
I understand
unanimously
that. So-
approved by the citizens.
Right, so I think it might be of value to those other citizens that you spoke about, the other people in the close by that had the same request, is that we should look at all of them. I mean, they're not here today,
But you brought up a good point that I'd like
Yeah.
to have an opportunity to look at, but if you don't think we should step back and do that, we want this plan forward, and we can't do it unless we address your issue. So it's not like it's going to sit another 10 years. We're trying to get this done in the next several weeks and move everything forward to the supervisors. So I just feel like in order to be able to make a proper decision for you and your neighbors, I would like to go back and take a look at what that looked like and why that community historic designation needs to be there.
and if we could assure you that when we take this up in 2 weeks, that you would be the first one that we would call upon, so that you could come at 9 o'clock and you'd be here 15 minutes and then you could proceed on. But that might be a better way of holistically looking at it, not just for your particular parcel, but for those other individuals in the same situation, that they're not here today, but they're going to be affected in the same way. Since you're saying it's wholesale to the community, let's look at it from that standpoint.
You know, as long as you know, I can't make you people do anything. You know, it's going to take a court case to get anything done here probably. But as long as you know that the last time that I was writing in the newspaper about this issue and talking to my people, we had a town hall meeting that went till midnight where Revision 3 and this stuff was soundly rejected, maps and all, by hundreds of citizens. Do we need to go through this over and over again?
But I'm suggesting that you give us the opportunity to look back, not just at your particular parcel, but those others that are very similar to yours. Let's look back and reevaluate them.
And we're not talking about 10 years from now, we're talking 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable.
I think that we haven't seen it. You've been working on it for 10 years. Many of us are new here, and that we want to have an opportunity to make it right. But we need you to be able to work with us to do that.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Well, that's why we're here. So let's work together on this. Give us the 2-week time period to take a look back at your community where you see an error happening, and give us an opportunity to educate ourselves to make the right decision. Please.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Because I'm just looking here, I mean, there's even James Aaron's across the street from you, right? He had the same, I think he's got the
Yeah,
same
there
request.
was all kinds of people in
Okay.
McCollum Hill that have been run over roughshod
Well-
by the planning department.
Okay, so let's, thank you, Chris, and let's take another look, and then you'll be first on the agenda. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else at McCollum Hill?
Richard Blood. And what I'm here for is just to kind of confirm, I wasn't at the last meeting, I was at the previous meeting and gave comments on the map, and prior to the last one, the July 14th. And I just wanted to look at the current map for McCollum Hill, and the parcel in question that I was looking at would be 18-001-028. And there were just some indications that adjustments would be made to that parcel, and I was just seeing if those adjustments...
Are you talking about my parcel?
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, I think while you discuss my parcel, I will recuse myself from discussion of my parcel. So I'm going to let Ted do that, and I'll step out, and you guys do what you need to do.
Okay, foraging, go right ahead now.
And previously, I think that the changes were made that I suggested. Because where my lot line that's in purple, I guess, which would be to the south, goes down a ravine there, and my house is right near where the hand was in that neighborhood. And so it would, as discussed in the meeting before, that it'd be more consistent with the town plan, that if there was a buffer there from that commercial. And it looks like that took place, and I was just here to confirm it. And one of the things about the process that's a little confusing, when we make comments and you say, yeah, we'll take that and we'll take that into consideration, we'll make the changes, it didn't reflect to me that I'd have to come back the following week and that it be ruled on. And just like some of these changes that you were suggested that you make for those places where the cave, spelunking and the recreational use things, you didn't take a vote yet, but it was all discussed. So it seems like it would make more sense for the people if you were going to take a vote, unless it's that you provide public notice to the property owners who are adjacent to it. It's just confusing, because then you go through all the town plans and then you have to come back next week. It's just confusing, the process, and it's not quite explained what the process will be going through it.
So are you happy with the changes that we
Yes,
discussed?
yes. I'm just, yeah.
I remember us having this discussion with you.
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
did
no, and
agree.
I'm happy. I'm just, this is fine.
Okay, well, if you're happy, I want to see a big smile.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can you have Vaughn come back in,
You bet.
please? Thank you.
Are we having fun yet?
Absolutely, we're having fun. Okay, we changed your land use.
Okay. All right, where are we going to next?
Okay. I think public comment
Oh,
on some
public
of the
comment.
stuff that we've done.
Okay.
As long as we're talking about the process and how easy it is or not easy it is to follow this, I finally found the little white arrow. I don't know how many people out here could find it up there, but I know that the little cursor dots or whatever you call them, there's a whole little library of them. There must be a big red dot that you could use, which should be much easier.
Are you talking about the pointer in the hand? And
Yeah, it's just like, it's like, well, where is it, you know?
Yeah.
You can see it from right where you are.
Right.
But when you're out here, it's like,
Right.
what dot? Big red dot would be great.
Maybe our pointer needs a new battery.
No, it's the
Well, it
the
depends
mouse.
on what function I'm using with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, see, that hand moves the map
Right.
around for.
Yeah,
Right.
so if I click on this, I can move the map.
Switch
But if I put that allows me to zoom in on something. So I guess if we're pointing, I'll use the laser pointer. I don't know if
That
that's
might be helpful.
Can
big
you
enough.
see-
Can you see the red dot?
Colleen, is the red
Can you
laser
see the
pointer
red
better?
dot, Marty?
Marty?
That's better.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
I mean, you can use a pointer of any design without the clicking there.
This program does not have
Doesn't have all
such
those.
a,
Whatever, it's just, that's better.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, so where are we moving on to?
We were in McCallum Hill, so.
I think we're done with McCollum Hill.
Anybody else?
Oh, okay. Paloma?
We have one that's between Valley Spring and Paloma.
Perfect.
Paloma Road.
okay.
Come on.
We'll take you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Joseph Bocelli. I live at 1215 Watertown Road. The APN is 048, 002. Mine is 087. The one that's in question is 072.
Can you hold on 1 second?
Oh, four, okay, got you.
Where?
048, 002, page 4.
072 is owned by Mr. Tom Coe, and he's asked that it be changed from future single-family residence, 5 acres, to industrial. He owns a bunch of land to the north and east
So
of that.
this is
It's-
203 acres? Is that, I'm just making sure I'm
That's
the
a
right
good
one.
question. All the records I show are less than 100 acres, but it's 072, I know that much.
And just for,
Could you read that APN again?
it's 48002-072.
We just happen to have
What's
one of them.
068 then?
I just want to clarify something here. You're saying he's asking to switch it to industrial, but it says here that you're requesting it to be switched from industrial to rural residential.
It already,
Is that correct?
it's not industrial.
It
It
Shown
was
as-
future single-family residence, 5 acres, what it was, or is.
okay.
Peter, can you show us 072 and 068?
And are those two separate parcels that make up 203 acres?
I believe so.
Okay.
So 072 is this property here, and 068
Is up above it.
is up above it.
Yeah, 068 is where he wants to put the shooting range.
This property that wraps
Right,
around.
right.
that. So under the 1996 general plan designation, it is single-family residential, future single-family residential. The smaller parcel to the south is presently zoned RM, rural manufacturing. And why it's zoned, and the other one is M2,
Yes,
general industrial.
right.
Why it's zoned industrial but planned for residential, I cannot say. And I don't know when the zoning was changed, if it was something someone overlooked it, or if it's been zoned for a long time. I just don't know the history of that site.
I know some of the history. In fact, I found some letters to Mr. Ted Allerad dated 1978. Is that you?
I sold it.
Whoa. Flintcoat mined, there's a clay pit to the right of that, out on the flat part of the valley. What we're looking at here is more hilly. And to the I guess it's east, is the flatter part of the valley. And it has a clay pit that had some pretty good clay in it. They were using it to make cement, I suppose. And that's, my understanding is that's why that was all basically M2. There's also some mines up there, shale and flint, I think. My main concern is 072. That one abuts my property. And it has several other homes that are abut it. And I don't understand why that would be industrial. That's, Mr. Coe told us several times over the last few years that he wanted that 072 parcel to be used for homes. He had the plan of having a college, mainly for industrial arts kinds of things, and about, I think he had 50 different projects.
Okay,
But
so-
he wanted home-based industries on 072.
So I think what, Lisa, you're contesting, or you're not in agreement
I'm
with
contesting
the-
072 becoming industrial.
That's what,
Okay,
yeah.
are you a representative of Mr. Coe? How's?
No, we're the
He's a
opposite.
neighbor,
Adjacent property owner.
yeah.
So we're not looking at his property, we're only looking at yours, 072?
No, I'm looking at his 072. I'm
it's-
087.
Yeah, so
I touch his property.
he's a neighbor that it's now recommended to be industrial from single-family residential, and he's not in favor of that. He preferred to.
Where's your parcel?
087, just to the south of it. Well, it's a zigzag parcel, his is, and I come up on one side,
And yours is,
right there, yes.
This one here?
Right there,
Right
so
there.
I see you've got that
Yeah.
corner.
So,
I would say that's the western tip, sort of on the bottom of the S.
Okay, so you're contesting,
an industrial land use designation for the property that abuts my property. 072.
is his currently zoned industrial?
No,
What is it currently zoned, Peter?
rural manufacturing.
Isn't that
and the
industrial?
land use was future single-family residence, 5 acres. And he's told us over and over again, he wants to put home-based industries on that.
So, but it says
So now all of a sudden he wants it industrial, and we don't want industrial.
rural
Okay, but-
manufacturing / M2.
No, it's not
Um,
M2.
Well,
That's what it says on zoning.
The-
an
zoning?
earlier request, or there was additional request to not change this one to industrial also, to keep, so I combined those two. I don't know if, I can't remember if it was Mr. Picelli or someone else that also was sort of protesting the designation of 68, this parcel here, to industrial.
But you're saying right now they're both zoned rural manufacturing or M2 or /M2? Or
Well,
one's one and one's the
northern one
other?
is M2, the southern one is rural manufacturing.
Right.
And isn't that basically industrial?
No.
Well, M2 certainly is. Rural manufacturing is sort of an interesting zone. It's unique to Calaveras County. And again, I don't know the history of how it was changed. It's when someone is living on a piece of property and they want to do an industrial use, they're allowed to go through a conditional use permit to have an industrial use on their property, but the requirement is they rezone it to rural manufacturing, which is the strange part to me. An example would be, for those who are familiar with Douglas Flat, there was a water, some springs, and they would bottle the spring water there. The owner went through a use permit to open up the bottling plant for the spring water, but was required to rezone it to rural manufacturing. And so this is a very limited industrial use to someone who lives on the property and operating a manufacturing, rural-based business on that property.
So there could be cattle on it, or
It's primarily, as Mr. Coe himself said, it's a buffer zone, that's years ago, between his main industrial project, which is up above that. That's actually M2, and that's where he wants to put the shooting range. This one is a buffer zone. He at one point wanted to make that a skeet range right next to our houses, so I doubt that he's still on that
Okay, so is Mr. Coe asking for a change on that in zoning?
He did. He
I'm-
submitted if it's on the list, he asked.
Well, no, this is on the list because the adjacent property owner, Mr. Bichelli, and
So
others have...
the adjacent property owner
Protested-
wants to change Mr. Coe's zoning or his
No.
land use?
No,
now?
no,
No, I'm going to
no.
leave it as it is.
They are disputing staff's recommendation to designate this as industrial.
Right.
They would like to keep it in a residential designation as it is under the 1996, the current general plan that we're operating under.
Yes.
They dislike the change to industrial.
When we bought the entire Governing Ranch of 400 acres, we had it because we had a clay pit there and we mined clay. And that's when we put that big, huge building in
Right.
there.
Right.
Then it was used by Tom Cole for a short while as a continuation of that clay pit. And he stored about 2,000 acres, 2,000 tons of clay there, and the market kind of dried up. And so now he's had several afterthoughts of other uses. One of them being the target range, one of them being a campus. He tried to get Delta College to put a campus in there. He'd donate the land that they put the campus in. He had all kinds of plans, but none of which have really come to fruition.
Yeah, the college was supposed to be more out in the open.
That's why it was M2 to start with, because that was the designation that we had when we owned it.
So historically, it has been M2.
Yeah.
Not the one I'm talking about.
Well, he stored stuff out there, Ted's saying.
Well, it was RM. It wasn't M2 is the upper
Well,
one.
that's the 96.
Is the clay pit on the property in question here?
No, it's off to the right.
Up in here somewhere?
Yes, back in there.
Okay.
So what you're,
The
068,
That's where that lake is now.
Yes, full of water.
so 068 is,
I'm not sure I care about that one.
Okay.
that's right.
That's M2.
That's M2, that's fine.
Been M2.
You're good.
I
So
can't,
it's
I don't like
only
it, but
072,
it's been that way.
which is the rural manufacturing.
Yes,
Okay.
with the land use designation being future single-family residence. And that's what I think should be a buffer between all the homes and the M2 stuff. I honestly don't even know why he's asking for it to be changed. He and I don't talk, so.
I think possibly this is another situation where if we got Tom Coe to weigh in on his own property, we might get a telling story.
I thought he was going to be here because he was here this morning in the Rotary meeting, so I don't know why he's not here. You may know he lives over in Saratoga, so he doesn't come here too often. But he was here with his wife, and I thought sure they'd be here, so,
So is there anything you want us to do with your property?
no. Oh, buy it.
Buy it?
Why don't you buy his and then we'll
No,
zone
no,
it
no,
like
he
you
should be
want?
buying mine.
Okay, I'm not willing to make a decision without Mr. Coe here to speak for his
Sure.
own property.
Yeah,
That's fine. So
so we're going to table it, or,
But we have your opinion on the books. We know where you're at. We know what your thoughts are.
and I'd like to be here when he's here, so.
absolutely.
we can-
So, I mean, unless he can't make it, then I would say in 2 weeks, or at our next
Well, it
meeting.
usually has Dave Tanner speaking for him, so.
Okay, or a representative of his, yeah.
So that's what, 2 weeks from now?
Yes.
Okay.
What is the date of
Well,
our?
I guess
Do
that's
we know?
maybe as we're saying, one decision that the commission needs to make is when we're going to continue this hearing to, when we conclude today. We could continue it 1 week if you want to hold a special meeting to get through this as quickly as we can, or we could just stick to our regular schedule of the second and fourth Thursday. So what's your pleasure on that?
I'd like to get it done.
I'd like to get it done.
So you're suggesting that next week? Could we, I guess we don't have, I mean, we could just continue it till next Thursday?
I was anticipating that we'd have a
Making sure you're here.
Okay,
special hearing if that's what,
Okay, so the ones that we're saying we want further information on and we want those people to come back, like Mr. Niebuhr, we told him 2 weeks. Would we want to look at those still in 2 weeks to give us time for more research, or do we want those to be next week and we can inform him now and him while they're both here?
I would say let's do it next week.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
do it next week?
Yeah,
Can-
because we have the
There won't
list.
be any additional staff report or anything, we'll
No,
just present
and
the
we have-
information at the hearing.
And as far as the motel goes, we know, we have the list of those other property owners who made them. So we've got the information that
Okay.
we need, and if we need to talk to them and invite them here too, we could do that.
Okay.
Let them know.
Okay.
So it'll be a week.
What week? 1 week?
1 week.
Afternoon?
9 o'clock.
No, we'll start in the
Do
morning.
9 o'clock?
Yes, and we'll start with the ones that we didn't finish. So
Okay,
you'll be right after Mr. Niebuhr.
good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Jennings. I'm here about the coal thing too.
Okay.
I also live on Watertown Road. Before I get started with that, I'm not sure I understand the process exactly because I sent an email and I think my email was off. You are the planning commission, you do not do zoning, right? So what you do is you change the usage and then a zoning commission changes the zoning?
Well,
No.
the general plan comes, I'll let Peter explain it.
So right now, we're talking about the general plan, which is the broader
Right.
overarching umbrella document. The zoning needs to be consistent with the general plan. And so the Planning Commission will be recommending to the Board of Supervisors a land use map to go along with the text of the general plan as soon as we're done with going through these various requests. Once the county adopts a new general plan, then individual property owners can request a zone change that goes through the commission and is approved or denied by the Board of Supervisors. And the county will be also going through a county-wide zoning amendment to bring the zoning into conformance with the general plan. So if there's inconsistencies, the county would need to correct that. If a property owner wanted to do something with their property consistent with the general plan, but the zoning didn't presently allow it, they could apply for a zone change application consistent with the general plan to move forward with the project. So in this case, the industrial designation would allow Mr. Coe, or whoever the property owner is at the time, to ask for a rezone consistent with the general plan to M1 or M2, for example, and develop the property accordingly.
Okay, so 068 and 072, one is manufacturing residential?
No, rural manufacturing.
Rural manufacturing, and 068 is homes, but for some reason it's zoned as an M2, is that what?
Yes, it has a general plan designation of future single-family residential, but it's zoned industrial.
Okay, how does that happen?
That is
That's a very good question, I don't know.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because I live on Watertown Road, fairly close to where all of this is. And we've bought our land over 18 years ago, built our house, and at the time we bought it, even though it wasn't the main consideration, we made sure that all the property around us was planned for residential. And we've had a lot of houses go up. So my question is, why would you suddenly, in the middle of a residential section, make something industrial? Okay, without notifying any of us that it's being done, that the possibility of it's being done, without giving us a chance to tell you, hey, I don't like this. When Mr. Cole was trying to do the gun range right down the road from us on Watertown Road, we came, a bunch of us, and talked about it. We're never notified of it, and it bothers me, if you are here planning for our county and the residents of it, why aren't those people directly involved in this change notified and allowed a chance to speak? I don't know where you all live, whether you're in a subdivision, whether you've got 100 acres and it doesn't matter, or 500 acres and it doesn't matter, or you live in a little town. How would you feel if you and your neighbors in your lovely homes suddenly woke up one morning and there's some industrial being built in the middle of your home and you had no knowledge of it, no opportunity to voice anything about it? I have other concerns, like we're in a drought. A lot of people in Calaveras County have had to re-dig wells. If you make his property one lot over from me industrial, we're not on the Valley Springs sewer. We're not on the Valley Springs water. We all have wells, we have septic tanks. What is that going to do to my water table if he's suddenly pulling a lot of water for industrial? The road usage. We very seldom get our road repaired, but if it's industrial, what's that going to do with the traffic on the road and the condition of the road? I'm sorry. I'm
No,
a little-
that's right, it's an emotional issue, yeah, yes, I know.
And I'm a little nervous,
Yeah.
but, so I'm trying to understand what you do and why you
Right.
do it, but why we're not included in it.
Well, everybody got a letter. Everybody got a letter that has that there's a potential
I never got a
change.
letter of any kind.
Well, there's probably not a potential change on your,
Not on my property,
Yeah.
no, but when you're talking 200 feet or
Yeah.
500 feet, whatever it is, that parcel there.
right?
If, just so that, because I can answer a couple of your questions, I understand the emotions that you're going through, but if he were going to, or some corporation were going to open a manufacturing company, there would be a process. And Peter, am I correct that within 300 feet, 500 feet, all the neighbors are contacted?
Well, it depends on what the proposal is. With the northern parcel, 68 there, it's currently zoned to M2, and there are certain industrial uses that are allowed by right that don't
But
require...
the planning thing says that it's residential, which,
That's crazy, we all agree. We all agree. We're
so
like,
I'm
yeah, it's not
basing
just
my
you.
life on the fact
Yes.
that your general plan says it's residential, and somehow it gets zoned M2, which means he can bring in an industry, even though as far as I know, it's only supposed to be residential.
This panel hasn't changed that zoning or that land use. We don't know why it's there.
Right.
We're with you.
Well, I know that when he wanted to do the shooting range right there,
Did he apply for a land use change then and it get approved?
my understanding was that he wanted to
We've
change
never
to
actually received
M2.
an application for any
No,
use.
it was several years ago, it came from the
Right.
planning commission.
Okay.
And he kept
Yeah.
saying the noise wouldn't bother us.
Right.
I'm sorry, I can hear, my neighbors up above me target practice with their grandchildren, even with all my windows closed, and they're probably 600 feet away. It is like they're shooting right outside my house. So when he was talking about a gun range and having meets on weekends with hundreds of guns going off, and he's trying to tell me that noise is not going to disturb me, I'm sorry, you're wrong. But I never got a notice, maybe because I'm more than the 300 feet. But when you're talking something like multiple gunshots over and over and over by 30, 40 people, that's it. I don't know what this industrial thing is. I'm just saying I don't like it. I would request that it not be granted to be industrial because it's supposed to be residential, and that's why I bought
Right.
land here and built a house. And most of the houses around me are 5 acres or more. But I wouldn't care if they were even acres or half acres as long as they stayed residential.
Right. Well, we are going to be revisiting this.
That's what I heard.
Yes, well, it's, the alternative to
Right.
saying, yes, go do it, I mean,
Right, no, and I
yeah.
understand that, but by the same token, I was never notified of this meeting. If someone hadn't said something to me and said, hey, Tom
Yeah.
Cole's trying to get this changed to industrial again, and there's a planning commission, okay, I'm going to try and go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I don't see him changing.
to keep coming back, well, but it is a change if he wants it industrial and it's not industrial. If it's, the planning thing says it's residences and the zoning's in M2, that's a big problem.
I see some discrepancies here, because according to Ted, in the past, it has been zoned as such.
The entire governing ranch was, I don't know whether you're on that property. or-
Now, are you talking on Paloma Road? I'm on Watertown Road.
Oh,
Are you talking Paloma
yeah.
Road with that ugly yellow building
We had-
that my trees have finally got tall enough that I can't see anymore?
Yeah. But so we had the property on both sides, you know, of Watertown, Paloma Road.
We being, I think, Calaveras Cement, was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Culver
so I'm on
Cement.
the hillside of Watertown, and we're all houses on both sides of Watertown.
So
We're all houses.
historically, it has been zoned through their industrial or M2.
Well, on the Paloma where the ugly yellow building
Top
is.
of the ridge where that tower is.
There's mines up there.
Then a lot of that's mining property. Ollendorf.
So historically, there has been much of it. Now, where the question comes in is where the residential thing came in and where it's trying to go back to industrial, and no one here is totally sure on the history of that. So that's something that needs to be looked into also.
But like I said, we did check the planning, and it said
Yes, well,
residential, and that's part of the
right,
reason we bought
right.
where we did, because we didn't feel like we would have to feel. I understand where that ugly yellow building is and all that land there with the, you know, but where we are, now our trees are big enough, I don't see that ugly thing anymore.
Yeah.
But we're all residential, and from what I'm hearing, Mr. Cole's trying to get next to me that was residential zoned industrial on Watertown Road and up above us and that stuff, and that bothers me.
Well, I'm reading the notes on here under his, make sure I'm on the right one.
What page?
I'm on page 4.
Right.
And when I read under requester of Tom Coe for the 6872, if you go across, landowner request expansion of industrial into rural residential area for 072 was on draft number 2.
Well, I don't know what you're reading, because I don't have a general plan, I don't have any
So
notes,
I
I
think
don't have
what we
any of
need
that
to
stuff.
do is, before everybody goes into panic attacks, let's take a deep breath, and we need to re-meet next week on this, gather more information, so we have our facts before us, and then we're not second guessing, and we can all figure out what's really going on.
Okay, now,
And if we
what
could possibly
website is
get a
he talking
representative
about
over.
that I could go and look at these maps?
Calaveras County, what is
We
it?
can-
It's the Planning Department, and you can go to the Planning Commission webpage and click on the agenda and all the information that the commissioners
Calaveras
have.
County, okay, not the agenda, but the map, because I
The map
can't
will
really
be,
see
the map
it.
is an attachment to the agenda.
Okay.
Is that correct, Peter?
Well, the best way to look at the map is to go to the general plan, go to Calaveras County Planning Department, click on the general plan, and then at the top of the general plan webpage is the map. To look at the other documents that the Planning Commission had, the spreadsheet, that is on the Planning Commission tab, and the Planning Commission agenda has this document on it.
Okay, now, on this map, because I can't really see it, can you show me where Paloma Road is and where Watertown is with your little red dot thing?
Here is Paloma Road,
Okay,
this is Watertown,
okay.
this is the property. that-
Oh, 68?
That's
72.
Oh,
That's
72?
68 is this one that wraps around this way.
Okay.
And I'm guessing that one of your parcels, one of these here.
No,
Okay.
well, no, because I'm away from,
I can point out hers.
Are you up on top by where Follendorf's are? Follendorf property is?
No, that's
So,
actually.
so this is the current general plan. This is under the plan that we're operating under today, which shows this whole area as future single-family residential. We've got some natural resource area here. I think the existing clay pits are right around there, which is probably why that section is designated as natural resources. And we've got some agricultural designation around it. The
Okay.
proposed general plan shows that change. So it is a change. It is a change to industrial from the current general plan. And so this is the issue. Is this appropriate to change this whole area to industrial?
So that would include the 026 to industrial too?
Well, all of this is, this area here is designated as natural resources. All the rest of this was future single-family residential.
Can I make a quick comment on that? The previous land use map you just showed a moment ago leaves off the FSFR5 designation. I've got a printed version of that I was given several years ago. And right about, point, yeah,
Here. Green button.
right in there, right about there.
They're all over the
You gotta
place.
completely hold it.
Yeah.
Hold it down.
Right in there on my version, it has printed FSFR5. Anybody wants to take a look at it? That's what I got from the.
That's what the yellow designation is, single family
So
residential
that
5.
whole area then is the FSFR5 as it submitted. And-
That's what it's
and,
showing as of
Lincoln
1996.
lives right there. My shaky hand.
Okay, what's the light green, the little light green square in the,
Posies, the ones up, the ones that shoot.
oh, the ones up above me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm right below that little green square in the middle of everything is where I am, where those are all residential houses, which is what
Right. Okay, well, if you would, do you think you could come back next week?
I can try.
Okay.
I'm in the, not to gain sympathy, but I'm in the middle of cancer treatment and stuff, so
Sorry
it
to
kind
hear
of
that.
like depends on treatment and how I'm
Okay.
feeling and stuff like that, but.
Well, we have got your concerns, if you can't, so, but if
Okay.
you could, that would be great, too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
listening to me and trying to
Sure.
explain and.
Sure, thank you very much.
Do you want to have any public?
Any other public comment, before we get to, any other public comment on this particular request, the code? And then can we take a break? Yes. And then I think we're going to take a short break. So we'll reconvene sharply, we'll try this again, at 3:20.
Maybe I turned everything.
I had Kleinfeld come out here to my turn lane, and he said, you can do 9 lots without a problem, without a turn pocket.
Welcome back.
I already spent money on the encroachment.
We'd like to get started. Thank you. So, where are we headed? Calvaritas? Okay.
My name is Anita Pock, and I'm here with regard to 4 parcels that I own, which are contiguous, and they are APNs 38, 13, 39, 40, 41, and 42.
It's not on the list.
No, it's not.
Not on the list for...
A request, that you didn't submit a request?
Well, I think that what happened, it didn't come in during the window, and so it sort of just got lost in the shuffle somewhere.
Okay.
And I
We'd still like
apologize.
to
I'm
hear
sure
what
there are
you're
others, and this is the opportunity to bring
Okay.
that up.
When I talked to the planning department, the
No, we're
person...
good to go.
Okay.
038, could you please repeat that number for us?
038, 13, 39,
Thank you.
40, 41, and 42.
Okay.
So we're talking about
And your name?
these parcels
My-
right here.
Anita, how do you spell your last name?
P as in Peter, A-Q-U-E.
Thank you.
And I am requesting that the designation be changed to resource production for these 4 parcels. Actually, they're surrounded, as you can see, by industrial, as well as, if you go out, you can see that there's other parcels of resource production in that area on the online.
So what is it?
It's RT, it's RTA.
The rural transition A, which is a 10-acre minimum.
Okay.
Okay. On the map that's online, there's a 3-acre parcel that kind of juts out into that one is also listed as being resource production. This property was part of the Flint Coat. Flint Coat had the mineral rights for Quarry 4 on this property. I think Commissioner Allred is quite familiar with it.
That's the part of the Gambetta property?
Yeah, where The cement plant had the mineral rights to it. Back in '83, they deeded the mineral rights back to the landowner, Peggy Campbell. And she broke off some of the parcels. And this is one of the parcels that was broken off of it. Also, the resource production area that is right above it was also part of that parcel of property, where Bigfoot crosses through it. And so I think given that it is surrounded by the industrial and resource production, as well as the fact of the nature of the property, having been part of a quarry. In addition, the industrial property there has an easement through the property for their industrial use. That I would like to have it zoned as resource production. There's currently cattle on the property, so it is being used for agricultural purposes at this time. Altogether, those 4 parcels which were subdivided by the owner prior to me, which I don't know why.
So you want to go from a 10-acre minimum to what? 40-acre minimum?
Right, because right now, there's a number of parcels that are not 40 acres, or that the lower parcel is approximately 30 acres, and the other ones are slightly smaller.
Right.
But resource production is more likely what it will be used for and what it currently
Versus
is
rural
being...
transition kind of housing potentially,
Right.
or it's, ranchettes or something.
Right.
Right.
It fits for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think
Thank
we're...
you. Thank you
I
for
think we're
coming
good
today.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Comments?
Any comments on that? Thank you. All right, where are we going next?
Sure.
Let's go to Sheep Ranch.
Yeah, I have a property on 11270 Main Street, and I wrote in about the property next to me is 11296 that I own, and it's only a third of an acre, and it says that we're not going to be able to build on that unless it's a whole acre in town.
Do you know your APN number?
Yeah.
I don't know the APN, I just know the address. It's
find
on Main Street, right on Main Street.
Okay, we're going to have Peter pull it up for us.
Okay,
So when you're talking, we
11296.
understand what you're talking about.
What's your name, sir?
Daniel Souza.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I bought that property, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years ago, something like that. And I bought it so I could build a retirement home on it.
Peter,
and-
I have an APN for you. It's 036-021-010.
Look at you.
Or for building a home for my mother on it. But I was looking at the plan, it says they're not going to be able to build unless you have an acre. And there's smaller lots than mine that have homes on it in town. And I was hoping that you could change it to where, when I bought it, you're able to build on it.
I don't think that would...
That's not true. Any existing lot is a legal lot can be built on.
Great.
Regardless of size. This would be for future subdivision purposes.
Okay.
So obviously, if it's less than an acre, you can't subdivide it any further. But there are statements in the introduction to the plan that says we recognize all existing legal lots. And
Okay.
that some, people with the right zoning have the ability to develop it accordingly.
Oh, great,
So
great.
there's a number of, we call substandard lots in
Okay.
size. And these just, historical lots that have been there, and people can utilize them as the zoning allows.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I was also wondering, my property on 11270 is RC zoning. And for the marijuana laws, they said that RC zoning, even though mine's bigger than 2 acres, I'm not allowed to have a commercial grow, to where my property is always been gardens. It's registered right now as organic gardens. It's been registered organic gardens for 15 years. But they stopped me from having commercial grows to where my neighbors just come in, they put these trailers in, they bulldozed I don't know how many trees down and just, made this big mess there. And, I've been gardening there forever. And, I was wondering why in Sheep Ranch, all my neighbors got marijuana growing. Mine would be 300 feet off the road. You wouldn't even see nothing. I'd be so hidden. I was wondering why I was excluded from everybody else. Everybody else is just going wild.
You'd have to ask the Board of Supervisors. We didn't weigh in on that.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment about the sheep ranch? With Daniel Souza?
Yes.
No, I was just seeing if anybody else wanted to weigh in on what we discussed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So where are we going next?
Who's here from what community? Valley Springs, sure.
Valley
Let's hit
Springs.
Hi, my name is Roseanne Wilson, and our APN, we have 3 APN numbers. The first one is 046 004 013 00.
Get 22%.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Okay.
46.
004 013 00. I have a yellow paper here, so I am on the list.
Go and give you the address.
Okay, okay, so what was your name again?
Roseanne Wilson, and I printed this off your open house thing, and I did get a letter from you guys.
We're good. Even if we don't have you here, we're good to go. So,
Okay, 046?
I have several, they're all start 046.
Okay. 013?
Okay, 046 004 013 00.
Give her the acreage.
And the next one is 046. We're in between the 2 Evans lanes, right
three
there.
parcels
Yes,
right here.
yes, those 3 parcels right there. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, we're currently
and I'm trying to just get I know that's Highway 12.
It's right, this is Evans Lane right here.
About maybe midway between
And then right
Valley
down
Springs
over
and
here
Burson.
is Quail Oaks.
Oh, that on the other side between.
Yeah,
Okay.
west of Valley Springs.
Right up here is 26 and 12.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Station, and that's
Right off Highway 12.
Okay.
Okay, and so on this map, your land use is agricultural, general agriculture?
Right now, I believe it's, what is it, RA, what was it?
It's zone ag. One's a 22-acre piece, one's a 25-acre piece, and one's 21 acres. We split it. When we bought it, there was a fire that went through in the middle of escrow, but we still bought the property. And we were told we were going to resplit it into 5-acre densities, which it was for 25 years. So the county told us the easy way to do it is to split it in 3 parcels, which we did, come back and then do the map for 12 parcels. We did that, and then 2 weeks prior to that, the moratorium started, and we were stuck. I put a Class A road in there at $180,000. I put an encroachment in there at about $40,000. I have traffic control studies on this property for a minimum of 9 lots with no existing conditions for my encroachment, for no turn pocket for up to 2025, which was done by a pretty well-known place, K.D. Anderson Associates. So what we wanted to do in the past 2 or 3 years, you guys have been wanting some decent housing with some townhomes. I have access to surface water at the rear of my lot. I've had some work done for the cluster systems by Cal State Engineering. They've been approved by the state of California and Cal State Engineering. There would need to be a turn pocket in there, and if we can get some medium density in there, we can get quite a few homes in there that the county wanted as of a year or 2 ago. Some affordable stuff, some townhomes. There's been a map that's been made up of this by a pretty well-known guy around the town. That's what we requested. If we can get that, if there's any, we've done all our homework for 3 to 4 years. All the soils out there is excellent soils. With the fire, there's not an oak tree problem. We've started at least All the road grading is at 7% or less. That was done by Dr. Dirt, that I think does some work for the county, or used to, which gave us roughly about 100 plus homes in there. Now, this is everything that you guys requested as of probably a couple years ago. We've been waiting at least 7 years for this project, at least. It took a lot out of us. We lost a home out of it. We moved from Amador County over to here. Right now, the suggestions you guys have is for 10 to 20 acres. Now, right across the street from us, there's 13 homes on 1 to 2 acre parcels. Evans Road. If we cannot get the medium density, the minimal that we would like to have would be the 5 acre zonings, 5 to 10 acres.
RTB, I guess that would be, instead of RTA, RTB.
But we probably have, I don't know, $400,000 or $500,000 in all this labor over the 7 or 8 years.
And had to redo maps because the county no longer, our first map that was going to be just 5 acres, they said, nope, we don't want no more 5 acres. We want medium density. So we had to pay more money and get this all done. And if we would have checked the box at the time we did the tentative parcel map that split the property into into original, the separate 20 plus acre parcels, it would have already been done and been approved. But we were advised by the county, don't check that yet. Go do your traffic control study, go do your aerial map, go do all the stuff first, and then come back and submit that. And then that way you have a better chance of getting this approved. So as the county's advice, that's what we did. So we had our tentative map approved, just setting it up into the 320s, and we can do it as phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, instead of building everything all at the same time. And now we have been left in limbo and then had to do more expense when they said they wanted medium density. They wanted, more housing. And so we paid somebody to come in and build this map and make it with affordable housing, with plenty of land use around, with townhomes, and it had plenty of vacant land area, a little dog park, walking trail.
We do have a map of it, if I can show it to you. Is that?
So I think let's take one step back real quick. What is your current zoning?
Our current zoning,
designation, too.
Land use, what is it?
Ag.
Ag R, I believe, AR.
So the zoning is A1.
Okay.
general
Zoning's
agriculture.
A1.
The 1996 current general plan designation is future single-family residential 5 acre.
Okay.
And the proposed is for 10 acre minimum.
The land is,
Okay, so, but currently, right now, what they have, before we make any changes.
5 acre minimum.
5 acre.
And that's what you wanted?
Yes. And
And we're
the
changing it?
RDM, if we can't have the RDM, then we would like the RMB, or
RTB.
RTB.
the 5
Transition
acres.
B.
5 to 10 acres if we cannot do the medium
Do you
density.
currently have an application into the county for this project?
No.
We were told to hold off, and we were told to write a letter of intent, which I did write, and I have a copy here of what we wanted. We were supposed to submit, we have several letters that we wrote to the county, emails, and then we were told to submit a letter of intent.
If we would have submitted it 3 or 4 years ago, it'd still be sitting here.
Okay, so Peter, the property is next to them, looking to the left by Carmel Road.
The brown?
I think I see RR5, is that correct?
Yes.
So we're changing them to ag and.
No, those are going, well, as recommended. These are, let me bring up the parcel size here. There you go. Acreage. So there's a couple 5 acre parcels, a couple 15s, and a 20. These are two 10 acre, basically 10 acre subdivisions in this area here, Quail Oaks. And it just seemed that the basic land use pattern in here was for 10s, and that's why I recommended the RTB.
You had us zoned for 60. And I said, we don't even have a 60 acre lot. What are you going to do, make us rechange it to 60?
No.
No.
On your original plan, when I went to the board meeting and I submitted this yellow form, you originally had us down for 60.
The draft number 3 had resource production, which was a 40-acre minimum. I recognize that that was probably inappropriate, given the surrounding land use patterns, and recommending at this point 10. Because there is no public water or sewer in the area, the minimum density would be 5 acre. That could be allowed under the current general plan, and so under the current general plan, 5 acres would be the minimum parcel size.
You indicated you had water.
We have access to Valley Springs Water Ball.
Valley Springs what?
Water Ball, Valley Springs Hogan Water. So we have access to Hogan Water, and as far as I know,
Is that drinking water? Or do you just?
that's potable water, that's for homes, to hook up for homes. We have, if we need to do this other large project, which I have a couple large investors.
May I clarify? You're saying that CCWD's line runs?
No, not CCWD, Valley Springs, which is Valley Springs Water Ball, which is Hogan Water, access to Hogan Water. And Hogan supplies part of Valley Springs and Stockton, as far as I know.
That's not the Calaveras River running behind your property there. I am thoroughly confused about what you're talking about, because that does not make sense to me. There is no pipe running that way. There's no river running out of Hogan other than the Calaveras River running towards.
Okay, so what I see on your map, I just saw it, which was, it said CCWD. And I was told that you can see the Valley Springs water ball from my rear lot. I'm one lot away.
Oh, you're talking about the tower. That's CCWD. Okay. That is CCWD. Let me clarify that for you.
Okay.
Now you have access to your water. Now how, the water ball you can see from your back lot, how far do the lines run down into Burson from CCWD?
I couldn't tell you that.
Well,
Okay,
it's just outside the district. So this map here shows the blue hash mark is the CCWD water district boundaries.
Right. And that's where your access ends, is the CCWD boundaries.
Okay. We do.
So your access to water would have to be a test on aquifers and going through environmental health for water. So at that point, that's the route I understand in the process that you would have to go.
Unless they were able to convince CCWD to annex the property and expand their district boundaries.
But that's quite a distance there, isn't it?
Well, supposedly we were told why we kind of went, we've been told so many different things, and we've gone, spent money and done so many different things because this is what we were advised. And
2 lots on Peter, you gotta go through.
we were told that they were going to be doing sewer down Highway 12 not too long in the future. And the fire department also, they would like access to, we talked to the fire chief, and they would like access through our property to get to Quail Oaks as a back entrance if needed be. Because our road almost goes all the way to Quail Oaks. Our neighbor to the left of, our neighbor, if you're facing the property, would be to the right of you, is Quail Oaks.
Quail Oaks is on Well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so under the new general plan, we have provisions in there that if you were going to develop a new subdivision like what you're talking about, the infrastructure would be, wouldn't they have to put in a water system to service that infrastructure?
And wastewater.
So you could put in your own water. And we were understanding we can have we're looking into a group septic. There would be one main area where, we used to live in Surrey Junction, okay, in Amador. And there was group septics for the whole subdivision. There were 2 septic locations. And they built it, put it in, and then they let the county run it, and everybody paid their fees to the county for your septic there.
So we hired Cal State Engineering to look at our property and to engineer cluster systems for 100+ homes. He got it
It
done.
ran a perk test and all
Yes,
the other
yes.
stuff for
We
a
have
certain
good- We have
area.
good soil. We
Every-
don't have that rock shale or any of that stuff. We have excellent soil.
Those are the right steps, but here's the thing is, I'm gonna let Peter take back over at this point because this is his realm.
So, Peter, are you familiar with this project?
I'm not familiar with the specific project. We've
We've
been
been
in
emailing back
communication
and
for
forth.
a couple of years now, it
Yes.
seems.
Yeah.
Since, at least since the release of draft number 3. I don't know the history. It surprises me to hear that someone said, and I'm not disputing what they're saying, that we'd rather have, medium-density residential here because there are no facilities to support medium-density residential. There's no sewer, there's no water. To do a package septic system, frankly, wouldn't work in this county.
Yeah, I'm sorry, would or wouldn't?
Would not. In order to do something like that, you'd have to have a public entity take over the operations of it under state law. The county does not operate septic systems. We do not have the staff or facilities to do that unless a district were to annex it and operate a sewage treatment system in there. You could not get the kind of density that medium density would provide. And I just, don't know that, there's water, within 1,500 feet perhaps, or at least the water district is within 1,500 feet, so it's possible it could be annexed for water, but there's no public sewer anywhere in the vicinity.
But we hired Cal State Engineering, which is very well known around here, and he got us approval for it. And
Well, I don't know that it was ever approved. They might have designed
did
it.
engineering
Kind of
report
did a
on
perk
it.
test
Right,
or
and that
whatever
was
for
through
'em.
the state. That was through state, wasn't it?
And the
county?
state supersedes the county when it comes.
This is what we.
That's what we're told.
A regulatory entity with the state would be the State Water Resources Control Board. If the engineer supplied that and the State Water Resources Control Board is solely a regulatory entity, they would not approve you for a county unless it was CCWD or another entity such as VSPUD or CCWD coming forward and saying they're willing to do it, and then they go through and get the permitting through the state. So there's missing actions in that are recorded, because I work for CCWD and I know how all the laws work.
So that's what you would need from us, is proof in writing that they would take care of this?
You have to file a
Yeah,
thing for that.
you would have to go to CCWD. and
I'm being,
everything, and-
we were told,
And we'd still have to come down to the point where we are okay with moving that down to 5 acres parcels, correct?
Well, on 5-acre parcels could be done on well and septic.
Right.
There's no problem with
So
that.
no problem.
So they're,
It's just not working.
and I was maybe a little confused on the request. I thought they wanted the 5. The 5 is sort of a backup request.
That's
as I
correct.
understand
There was a
it,
backup.
that if they can't get medium-density residential, which is a multifamily designation, that 5 acres would be better than the 10 acres as designated. And the previous one was 40 acres, so I've modified that for 10s based on the adjacent land use patterns.
we hired a very well-known land mitigation person around here, okay? And he thought it was better that we submit this than him. And he gave us all the information to do what we're doing now. And this took 3.5 to 4 years to do each step, 6-8 months. To get this sewer okayed for cluster systems took us 8 months to do. But I don't have anything in writing, but if I can get you something in writing, how would you guys look at our project?
You'd have to go to the water district. You have to go to the water district.
No, we're talking,
Okay.
So it's sort of premature to be looking at specifics of a project at this stage.
Yep.
We're not talking about a subdivision map, we don't have a rezone in front of us. We're looking at the broader picture right now is what's the most appropriate land use designation for this location. And is it 10s, is it 5s, is it multifamily, is it commercial? That's sort of the broad picture looking at this stage of the game. If we designate it low density or medium density, then they would need to come back through with a project that demonstrates they meet all of our standards as far as access and water and sewer and everything else to get their tentative subdivision map approved. And that's a whole separate process in this. The question before us today is, on a very broad, general level, what's the appropriate land use for this location? Is it multifamily residential? Is it medium density? Is it fives or tens? That's the question before you.
Well, even if it was multifamily, they don't have sewer, and you can't have multifamily on septic, correct?
Well, he's talking about a package system, if there were
Well,
such a...
our general plan, I believe our policies say that we need public water and sewer to support density at that level.
We're 1 mile from the Burson Market, and we're 2 miles from town. We're not that far from town. So there's no water running on Highway 12 to Burson Market's got water problems. So if they take the water, run it right through our land, and they put it to Highway 12 for 10 or 20 years down the road, it would benefit everybody. Our request now is at least if we can get the 5-acre density, 5 to 10 acres, and then I'll go back and see what I can do with my land mitigation person. If it doesn't work, then we'll take the 5s. The water in that area, just for the 5 acres, underground water is excellent. The dirt is, I probably get all standards on all the 5-acre parcels, which is unheard of.
Can you bring back up the acreages on all those, please?
The land is pretty usable. And the fire going through there knocks out a lot of problems too.
Yeah, that was the 04 fire, I believe, the Comanche.
So everything around you is 10-acre parcels?
Well, across,
A couple on the left and across the highway.
yeah, there's a handful of 5s, and then across the street, there's 13 homes on 1 to 2 acres.
Right. And you have 20, 60, 65, 67,
We have a sizable chunk right in that area.
About 69 point something acres.
But the majority are 10 acres.
Under your new plan.
Well,
No, I mean the
basic-
existing parcels around.
Oh, yeah. Except for across the street.
Yeah, across the street, everybody's on 1 to 2 acre parcels.
So if it was broken down into 5-acre parcels, there's a potential for 17 parcels?
Not even close, probably 11 to 12 parcels.
Because of the usage of the land?
69 and a half at 5 acres. We calculated that each parcel would be roughly 7 acres. That gave us about, I think it was 10 or 11 lots in there. And when we did the study for the traffic control study, they figured 9 lots without a problem, without a turn pocket, period. All the way up to 2025. The year.
Well, I guess question 2, does it have to be all or nothing? I mean, would it make sense to leave some of them as 10 and some as 5? Just throwing that out there.
Well, there is, we built the first spec home there, and that is on the first part, which is on the 22 acres. If we did, 9 5s and then have the house on a larger piece, that would work too. We live in a home now, so.
Being 70-something acres, I mean, and if you had 9 lots, they're going to be larger than 5 acres. Because you just can't grow some places. You can't build a home in some places, so there'll be land that's just natural land.
Okay, so I guess what I'm struggling with here is you have 3 parcels of land.
3 parcels of land, that for 25, when we bought it, for 25 years, it was all designated 5-acre density.
And what?
So if we're asking, at least can we get the 5-acre density, 5 to 10 acres in there for 69 acres? And I'll deal with this other situation later. We've been in limbo for years and years. And it cost us a $700,000 home in Amador County because we had so much invested here. Between the road, the gates, the encroachments.
We've had several people.
That's me accidentally kicking the cord.
We've had several people come to us wanting to buy the property for marijuana use, and we told them no. What are you zoned? I mean, people just pulling up to our house. So I mean, if we, we're just kind of like, what are we gonna do? We need to do something here. I mean, either we're gonna stay here and, try to work something, and like I say, everything would have to be done in phases. We're not millionaires. We don't have a whole lot of money. We use most of our savings in doing all those different changes that we were requested by the county. And the person who requested this letter of intent, which was, it was by Gina. I spoke with Peter, and then he had referred me to Gina at the planning department, and I went to Gina and told her our story, and she said, go ahead and submit a letter, which I did. It was mailed to the planning department. They should have it, stating what we were requesting and, what we wanted. If we couldn't get that, then we wanted to go at least to, they had told us at that time, if we can't get you to the RDM, we should be able to get you back to what you were originally zoned, which was 5 acres. And that's fine with us if that's what our choice is. What my husband was trying to do was just say, okay, let's see if we can do this RDM. This area here needs homes. I mean, there's people from the fire up there that they're not going to rebuild.
Right.
And they need homes, and there's no homes here. Everything is so expensive. The housing that they are building, is very expensive. Olive Orchard over there, they're building again over here on Highway 26.
Understand.
Golden Creek.
Wait, I think we
it's all
understand.
expensive. There's nothing there for
Right.
people to live or rent.
Even though the appropriateness of medium density is of question. And when I suggested like I was thinking possibly that as an alternative, that could be the 5 acres closer to the road and then leave the other 2 as the parcels as 10 acres, just as a discussion point.
So that would give us 8 lots, right? And I got,
No, some of the front area.
There's only 20
There's like a little valley area there, and you couldn't build anything there. You'd have to move dirt to where there's a little slope area.
I think,
I
do we have
one
enough?
question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Historically, was it 5-acre lots in that area?
Yes.
The land use designation under the 96 plan is for future single-family residential 5 acre.
5 acre.
Yeah.
So what
Right there.
was the point where it was switched to 10 acres?
Because it's more compatible with the surrounding, I think, that's what.
Surrounding thing.
Yes, sir.
And has there been anything that submitted for that area right there on a perk test that has anything to do with it? Or
We
is
have
it-
not gone to that level
No.
of detail in
Okay.
looking at the
No.
general
Yeah,
plan.
that goes with the EIR, right? Okay.
Well, we wouldn't,
Go to that
do perk
anyway.
tests with the
Right.
EIR.
Right.
Again, we're looking at really broad scale,
so when we bought the properties, all 3 were, the wells were put in, and the wells were at 220 feet at 30 to 40 gallons per minute, and all 3 septic profiles were standard.
Okay.
We have a well on each one of the parcels.
And we were set up to rock and roll until everything hit the
And we
fan.
were going to just do the 5 acres, which was going to be 9 lots. So
No, it was 12 lots.
12 lots, well, that's what we were going to do, and then the moratorium came on. And then I guess a lot of the Valley Springs people, my Valley Springs, they were the ones that we were reading in the paper about, oh no, we only want high-density areas. We don't want, homes on.
In the interest of kind of moving this along, I think do we have enough I wanted to see if there's anybody else with us today that wanted to make a comment about this proposal. Anyone? Sure.
I noticed they keep saying about CCWD might give you or Valley
Could you please
Springs.
state your name for the record?
Yes, I'm Mr. Race from the 5th District.
Thank you.
It's been stated that, first of all, they do have water rights to dig well. The basic question is about the septic system waste. They can create their own service district. And I have a lot cheaper, and more reliable than CCW can give. They can go to LAFCO, have an engineering firm come down, and give it a program to LAFCO, they can approve it, keep the schmucks in state happy, and make it all legal. I just hope you folks, if they invested in this much land, this much money, and if they feel that's a good investment for 5 acres or 10 acres, whatever they want, that's the only decision you gotta make. After that, it's on them, because I'm sure the planning department will determine if they have adequate service.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wanted to comment?
My name is Russell Stevens, and I have a similar problem, but it seems somewhere along the Golden Way, a lot of these R5s are put into R40s, and I don't know where it'll happen, but it happened. And a lot of people are stuck in their predicament. A lot of people are stuck in my predicament. We had a subdivision going in Valley Springs. You might have heard of it. Pawnee Estates down there in 2005, 2006. Ryan Voorhees was heading it up. We were in the application process. At that time, the parcels were R5. Now today, I find out that they're all R40s. I have 450 acres down there that I can make 11 parcels out of if I want to. Whereas before, we were looking at a density of over 1,000 homes, plus giving away parks, giving away state highway across the center of it, giving away church properties, giving away school properties, and starting to get a tax base for this county. People like this are trying to make a tax base for the county. People like us, we have no immediate plans, but in the future we may. And so all I want to say is, I would like our property returned to at least the R5 or community high density, whatever you have.
I'm sure we're going to probably get to yours.
Pardon me?
I'm sure we're going to get to yours, too.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we've protested every time. Every time we've heard these meetings, I've been to more meetings than you can, and nothing ever happens, positive or negative. We keep on with the planning process. Maybe this time it's going to go through. I don't know.
We hope so.
But who knows?
Well, we hope so.
I can give you my parcel numbers.
Well, we need to finish up with these people first. Thank
Okay,
you.
well, anyway, I'm going to put my name in.
Okay, we appreciate that. So while he's doing that,
I just want to support them on their project.
I appreciate that, and I'm sure they do too. Thank you.
You still on the floor or not? Okay. Come on up. Didn't know I lived that far away.
Colleen Platt with MyValleySprings.com. I just wanted to respond to the comment that My Valley Springs only wanted high density, and that's not correct. We have been for intelligent community planning for about 10 years, and along with this process about where is the community, where is it appropriate for high density, where is it appropriate not for high density. So I just wanted to say we didn't ever say we wanted high density everywhere. We do need more affordable housing, I agree. And there are places where that's suitable, where public sewer and water are available, and where there's easy public access with roads and highways. So I'm not saying yes or no to their thing, I'm just clarifying that statement. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joyce Teckle.
I know.
I live on Evans Road. We moved there in 1974. There have been 4 homes built on there in that time. Originally, those homes were all owned primarily by the Evans family. It used to be called Evansville. I bought the 30 acres up and back. As far as the 5-acre parcels on the land across the street, I think that's very suitable. The reason 10 acres could be included in that project if they plan to do that is Quail Oaks is permanently broken into 10-acre parcels. It cannot be broken any smaller. That's why that's compatible. The water issue, our well is fine. My neighbors have had to re-drill their wells a couple of times. I don't understand the difference. I know we're over the San Joaquin water basin in there, and I know that's going down and down and down. but my well's been fine. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, discussion. Can we got,
I'm kind of for the 5-acre breakup. I'm not for the high density.
It's medium density, so there's a
Or
little bit of a
medium.
change there.
Okay. Okay. But I am for a change to 5 acres. Historically, it's been that way. I do agree with Joyce. There are areas in Burson that are better with wells and there's not. It's typical Calaveras County with fractured rock and such, you know. So you're going to have to find out when you go through the planning process in the future, when you start to break everything up, whether every part of that property is compatible as you move along.
Well, we have underground tests from last night, and they're 20 to 100 gallons per minute on that property.
Okay, so let's just, can we talk amongst ourselves here for a moment? Thanks.
I personally am for, you know, historically it has been 5 acres. I'm for working with them. They have put in a lot of work. We don't want to go to medium density so much, but, you know, 5 acres, you know, there are some 5-acre lots around it. Majority are 10, you know. It's all whether everything works out in the numbers later on.
So, Peter, I'm looking at the difference between RLD and RMD, and the medium density would allow what, 2 family residential units on 5 acres? Because what I'm reading here on the low versus the medium is the low would only be single family. If we gave medium, it would allow for 2 family. High would go into R3.
Well, no, the difference between the RM and the medium density and high density is just the maximum number of units. Medium density allows 6 to 12 dwelling units an acre.
Aren't we talking about the
High
difference?
density is 12 to 20 units an acre.
Aren't we talking about the difference between RTA, which is 10 to 20, and RTB, which is 5 to 10?
Well, the request that they had was for residential medium density, but they said if that was not acceptable, then they would like to see at least go to RTB, which is the difference between 5 and 10.
Right.
RTB is what I'm
So if they do RTB, could they do like a townhome type situation where you, or a duplex multi, as far as affordability, I'm thinking,
No, we're basically looking at 5-acre parcels.
okay, so it's single family
Single family,
period.
5-acre, yeah.
One home,
Yeah.
okay.
Conceivably, they could do a planned development where they might do a cluster of whatever 69 divided by 5 is, and, you know, do some type of clustering development, as long as the overall density for the full 69 acres doesn't exceed 1 unit per 5 acre. So what's that? 13, whatever the number is. My math is not working well. Yes, Mr. Sauber?
Oh, I was just saying, he can hold on 1 second. Let us finish what we're talking about. You have one more chance to speak, I think.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I don't want to take over.
No, please.
Does anybody else have anything to say?
Oh, I don't know, were you?
I'm done. Talk.
Oh, I would support the RTB.
Well, I agree with that. Historically, it was 5 acres. They bought it, it was 5 acres. How they want to configure however many lots that will support is up to them. Depends on the terrain. Some might be 9 acres, some might be, 5. I don't think we ought to be trying to engineer their project for them. And so I'm in favor of RTB on this one.
Others? You guys?
I'm fine.
Yeah? All right.
Can I say something? In closing on this, the only way we can do medium density, you can only push so much dirt around. The county will only let you push so much dirt. That's why I had road calcs done on this thing. That tells you how many homes you can put in this medium density. It's roughly 105 homes with 2 sets of townhomes in there, and most of it's green belt. The average lot is 10,000 to 12,000 square feet. So if I'm paying this guy money to have my dirt engineered, that tells you how much housing you can support in there. So I've had all this done, and I just gave you some figures. And, you know, we'll take the 5s, but,
Well, you got the 5s.
okay?
All right, thank you.
Are you going down as far as Wallace now?
We could.
It was a Burson, not Wallace.
Let's go to Wallace, and I will just set everybody's expectations, but we are going to be finished here by 5. And I'm so sorry that if we don't get to all of you, so if there's somebody who's in like a crisis and can't come back next week. Well, let's hear the gentleman from Wallace, and then we'll go here. Are you sure? He just deferred to you. Come on.
You owe him a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, in all due respect, we might be able to come back.
Yeah, we'll try to make this quick, so.
All right.
Yeah, and appreciate that.
If it's long, you'll be coming back
No,
next week
I think we can
anyway.
get through this quickly. Tom and Chester Murphy, brothers and business partners.
And we have a property we want to talk about here in San Andreas. It's 044-009-097 and 8.
I'm sorry, what were those numbers again? Just at least one. Oh, you've got them?
Page 3.
Thank you. Oh, I found you, okay.
Yeah, so the, I can point them out, I guess.
Yep, you got the point. Hey, would you like the honors?
Is it red button or blue?
Green button.
Green. Okay, so we have this property and this parcel right here, and those located right here back of the brand-new courthouse on Murray Creek Road. And so what we have here is in the one parcel to the left, we have a...
Could you point that out again?
Sure. So we have this parcel right here.
Which is 79 acres? Looks like a ranch.
Yes, it's 79 acres.
And then where's the 48 acre?
It's this one. Maybe it's backwards.
Oh,
So that must be the that must be the 78, and this is the
Okay, all right.
this is the 40. Yeah. So
All
these
right,
two parcels, and then we got Murray Creek right here,
Okay.
and then the courthouse right here.
All right.
And then on this parcel right here, we have a 16-inch water line right that comes through here that serves part of the city, and what we wanted was a traditional, residential for both of these. We have some services here in the street, and then there's like a fire hydrant over here. I think there's another over here, and there's a 6-inch line over here, and it serves actually the property next to us. And so we would like to have it both being a residential zoning.
So, yeah, we requested RTB, and according to your website, it looks like the recommendation was to go with one of the two parcels.
For the 48 acres?
Yes, and but for sort of connectivity.
And access.
And access, we are asking to include the parcel 97 with the same zoning.
Yeah, as you saw, currently they're both rural residential.
And so RTB again, was that the 5 acre?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And it says it's in the Williams-Sumac under...
One of them is, and we filed a non-renewal back in 2011.
You got a response on that?
Yeah, I got a book and page.
Yeah, the filing of notice non-renewal is a unilateral act. Once they file, it rolls out after 9 years.
Yeah, I actually have this right here, and it was book 433, pages 181 through 193. There's the recording on it.
So we will roll out in 2021, I guess.
Yeah, a couple of years.
So this is
maybe
all
by the time this gets done.
part of the San Andreas community plan.
No, we're
And you
optimistic.
want what?
And really, I mean, because of the topography of the two parcels, you're probably looking at really buildable of half of them. So we're really talking probably about, when your vision is out 20 to 30 years in the future, we're looking at somewhere probably between 12 and 15 buildable homes between the two parcels with a RTB zoning.
Yeah.
Very steep property going.
In the back.
In the back it is.
Yeah, we have the water tank, and the water tank's
Sits
right.
up on the hill.
And it's that little, yeah.
And as a matter of fact, there's part of it underneath that's currently R1 zoning.
Yeah, that's ours there, but it's, yeah, both parcels,
yeah,
both parcels currently are R. So we wanted to keep it residential on both.
Is that all serviced from Murray Creek Road or some of it from Lewis Avenue?
No, Murray Creek, and then of course the water tank right above there, so that'd be to the, if that's the Vista Road, I guess.
Yeah, that's Andreas Vista Road up to the water tank.
Yeah, and I think with the deeded easement, there was some hookups that were
Required.
recorded and available to us, but are not being currently utilized.
I mean, I can see the RTB on the 47-acre parcel as being, I mean, it's compatible with sort of the neighborhood. That's a big leap into the
Yeah, and then actually
80 acres.
the other parcels actually was serviced. Prior owner had it connected. We don't currently have it connected.
Connected to?
The water district. The water line's there, but we didn't connect it.
So the 47-acre
Back up.
parcel is within the water district. It's the boundary right there. You can see the slope. The brown is the very steep part. The more color is a little steeper. It's fairly flat, open on this property here, but outside the water district. At 5-acre parcels, it does not require public water. The reason it was left in resource production is because it's still under Williams Knapp contract and doesn't roll out for another 5 years, something like that. So that was the justification why I recommended one but not the other.
Yeah. And I was going to say the 79 parcel, the prior owner had it, water was serviced to that, the box is out there, but we haven't hooked the meter, or no requested service there to the meter.
But I think when you're trying to look out so far in the future, it makes sense with the surroundings. And that's as far out as San Andreas will stop at the hill range there. I mean, topography won't allow it to go any further. So you've got this sort of, 5 to 10 acre parcels that are the end of the road for the edge of the town.
So what about the 142-acre parcel? You're saying that's
not our property.
No, I know, but you're saying that's the development stops at yours? Is
No,
that what you're saying?
I'm not, I'm sorry, but no, in terms of my understanding, of the way you want to see land use and growth, you want to densify it up in the town, right? And transition out as you go out away. And my point is that we're up against town, and the transition makes sense.
Yeah, I guess we're on 3 sides there.
That circle, remember, Bob?
So this is all part of this was part of the San Andreas Community Plan?
Yes.
So, Peter, when we look at making adjustments on our land use maps and we look at the environmental reports and pulling ag land out,
This is actually rural, right, residential now.
The current zoning.
Peter was putting it from rural residential to resource
production.
Yeah.
And you were putting it to resource
No, it's
production
actually working
because
land.
that's what it was backing to.
It was resource production.
So when, the one thing that I complained about profusely throughout the general plan was building in the circle, remember? My protests.
Mm-hmm.
That fits in the circle.
Depends where you draw the circle.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an argument one way or the other about, whether or not, how far out do you go with that? And at this point, it's really up to you to decide what's most appropriate. Looking at the demand, the need for that land. I mean, we're not looking at forever into the future. We're trying to sort of look, maybe 20 years. Based on the prior general plan, which had way more development than would ever be needed in the county. It was shown as rural residential, which is the 5-acre density. The reason, we brought things in quite a bit to do just what we talked about, is trying to direct development to the areas where we have access and water and sewer, and minimize the amount of driving time and the expense of providing service to a very dispersed rural population. The cost of law enforcement and fire protection and all the other services that the county or other public agencies provide is much more expensive on a very dispersed development pattern. Where you draw the line here?
I don't know if I'm in my early 50s, but I don't know if I'll make the next general plan after that. So that's why we were asking for it.
Well, and I know the acres, it seems like a lot of area that we're talking about here. But when you look at the topography and what really is property that you could build a home on, you're really talking about half of it. Mm-hmm. The rest of it is on such a steep hill that nothing's ever.
So we're talking, we're going to probably have half usable on the 47 and the same as the other.
How far out Berry Creek Road are you?
See, it stops before you hit that. What's that?
Do you know where Steve Arola lives?
Yeah.
We're pretty much just across the street from him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there's that road, what's it, Gold Hunter? So it stops this side of Gold Hunter a ways, maybe a couple hundred feet this way.
Could I see if anyone else wants to talk to the...
Absolutely.
All right, is there anyone else that wants to discuss this proposal? Sure.
One more time around.
Yeah, absolutely, come back on up.
Okay, my name is Russell Stevens, and I'm concerned about 5 parcels in Valley Springs. There's 046016-60.
Are we, excuse me, Russell, we're talking about these two, the Murphy Brothers proposals.
I'm very hard of hearing.
Oh, we're still working on Murphy Brothers.
You're next.
Yes. We're still
comment on their project?
Yeah. We thought you might want to.
No, that's okay. We'll give everybody an opportunity.
I know. So.
Okay, your turn. Go again.
I'm sorry. We're going to get to you.
Yeah, I'm hard.
Okay. Well, we'll speak up to it. Is there anyone else that wanted to talk about the Murphy Brothers proposal? No? Okay. So are there any other questions of...
So they've already been granted what they're asking for or recommended, the RTB on one of them. And the other one, it's the Ag Land 097. That's the 79 acres. And you're wanting RTB on that as well?
Yes.
And historically, there were rural residential, which was 5 acres in the past?
Yes.
Peter, what were the reasons for recommending RP other than the fact it was in the Williamson Act?
I think that was probably the primary reason. Looking at the land use pattern, the lot sizes, as you get further out West Murray Creek Road, it's just, it's pretty narrow. Most of it's, agricultural production out there or just large vacant tracts. And I think the reason, and I didn't make any change from the prior recommendations of my predecessors other than to include the one parcel in their transition designation. The rest was all sort of done prior to my coming here. So I said, well, it sort of made sense. I'll keep it at that.
And do they have public water available to the 79 acres?
It's not within the district.
It's not within the
It was hooked up to the district, though, the prior owner had it. And there's a meter there to the...
On the Ag Preserve property?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Then it must be like an out-of-district connection.
And there's a pipeline that comes, a 6-inch underneath the road that comes to the southeast corner of it. And the prior owner had it there connected. And so there's a box there with a meter, I guess, and we haven't reestablished that. But there's a pipeline going into the middle of the property.
Okay. Is there, what would you guys like to do?
Ted, what would you like to do?
I don't think they're asking for anything unreasonable.
Okay, I'll back you up.
Thank you.
That's 3.
4.
Okay, so we're all good.
Thank you
You're
very much.
you're very welcome.
Very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Russell. Stevens, Russell Stevens. Sorry. I had
I'll
it.
try to speak slow and distinctly,
Okay.
but my main problem is there along Lime Creek Road in Valley Springs, South St. Petersburg, and parcel numbers are 046-017-035, 046-19-003, 046-01630, 046-017-113, 046-016-060. This is approximately 400 acres of grazing land at present.
And so are these on the list?
I believe so.
Okay. Page 4? Page 4. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, well, give us 1 second, Mr. Stevens. There you are. Community plan, Valley Springs, add future growth.
You find it there?
Yes, we've got you here, and we've got...
Okay, yeah.
Well, we've got 2 parcels.
Okay,
3.
3.
all of this forward land, with the exception of that 40 acres,
Right, okay.
was R5 up until 2014. And then they suggested they were going to change it to R40s. So we went in and made a written protest at that time, thinking it was not made. The back 40 acres there was always R40. But what I would like is for it to remain R5 as it was before.
Peter, can you point
show
where it
us.
is with the red marker?
Yeah.
What's that?
Do you have the,
What do you mean? Oh, pointer?
so we're talking about this property in here.
That
Okay.
back piece was R40 before. And back 40 acres.
So why are we changing?
So,
So that RAX, that's a 40-acre minimum? Is that what you're saying? Is that what that says, RAX?
yes.
Okay.
RAX is
Means you can't subdivide it any further, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Also, someday there's going to be a Caltrans bypass for that property. It was started in 1994 by Dick Gordon, who was the supervisor at that time. And they say it usually takes 25 to 30 years to get these things done, so expect that someday coming too. We had planned to make it a subdivision which would give us a good tax base for the county, and that's what it would also provide, a good tax base. At that time, we had the water rights and the sewage and all that stuff set up. However, that's all in the past. Anything would have to be done in the future. All I want to do is preserve the rights so that if someday we can sell this to the right individual who'll do the right things, it will happen again. And like I say, we had Ryan Voorhees before, very good developer. He tried to do the right thing by everybody as far as I'm concerned, providing churches, schools, bypass roads, parks, everything. And that's what we're looking at is maybe in the future. Not right now, because we're still running cows. But in the future, we want to preserve that right. And if you put it into R40, it just makes that ground really unappetizing. If it's in an R5, it would be possible for a developer to come in and someday develop that. Since it is the original site of the old Valley Springs, it would be only fitting and right that it remained in Valley Springs. Maybe you're unaware of that, but it was the original Valley Springs. It was a box factory and other things on that property. And then the town moved west.
Well, everybody moved west, didn't they?
Found all this out when we had to do the history on the land.
Yeah.
Never knew it before.
Questions of
Anyway.
Mr. Stevens?
That's what I would like. If you could do that, I'll get out of your hair.
So as I look at this, Peter, it's currently being run as agricultural land.
Yes.
And the way that we set up the land use designations, the only one that would fit into that would be the RA, because he would lose the A1. He could do,
No, the A1 would be consistent. So this is in all but the very southern piece of property down here.
but it doesn't show A1 being in RTA,
It's-
RTB, it doesn't show him in any of that. But he still needs to reserve the right to do his agricultural.
If someone has an agricultural zoning and we planned it for future development of some sort, the lower density, lower intensity zoning can remain there. And so the agricultural operation can continue until such time as that, land is ripe for development. Either there's a market for it or the infrastructure is there. So there would not be any consistency with the Ag A1 zoning with some other land use designation.
So how would you give this a base zone and a land use designation that matches up with this use?
Well, again, the reason that this was designated on an earlier draft was basically because of the parcel size and the existing zoning of A1.
Which makes sense.
The community plan, which is the plan document that applies currently, shows it as ag residential.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. Because then it does fit into the RTB for 5-acre parcels. Got it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to? Oh, I'm just asking if anyone else wants to address your proposal, Mr. Stevens. Not yet. No.
I got to stand up because I can't hear.
Okay, we're gonna see if anyone else wants to talk about your proposal.
Fine.
Okay.
Colleen Platt, My Valley Springs. I just wanted to clarify that the 40-acre parcel at the bottom was not under that previous 5-acre designation. That was always 40-acre minimum, and that's adjacent to open-spaced Hogan Dam, Peace and Quiet campgrounds, oak trees, so that wouldn't be appropriate for development. That's highly visible from the walking trails, and it is currently 40-acre minimum. So I just want to make sure that wasn't included in this lump request.
That's 4601903.
The one at the very
The
bottom there.
42.1?
The square at the bottom there. I don't know the parcel number, but
Okay.
the owner clarified that one.
Right there, the light green.
Yes, right.
Okay.
The owner, stated that. I just wanted to make sure that didn't get lumped into the entire discussion because that's a separate land use designation and zoning.
I don't believe it is it? I mean, there's no, does he want to change that one too?
It says add future growth on request LU.
Yes.
So
Right.
he's requesting that be put in a group.
Right.
Sir, did you hear everything she said?
Anybody?
Did you hear everything the lady said? Colleen Platt.
Come on up.
Go ahead, come.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Stand next to the speaker.
Speaking in the microphone.
Oh, did you hear everything that Colleen Platt said? She's requesting that we do not lump the 40-acre piece in the south right there, or I'm not sure if that's the south or not, but that's closer to Hogan, in with the rest, because it's always been 40 acres.
Yeah, it's always been 40-acre. I'm
So if
not
we-
asking for something that we didn't have.
Okay, so if we went ahead and separated that now, sir, and discussed the rest of it.
That's right. I'm not asking for it. I just want what I have.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No worries, don't be.
I don't remember what the ag residential land use designation is from the community plan. Is there someone from Valley Springs that could help me remember what the minimum parcel size is for the AGR designation in the community plan? Colleen?
The Valley Springs
The
Community
Valley Springs
Plan.
Community Plan, this land use designation,
Yeah,
the current one,
The current one,
the
old
old
one.
one, the one that we're operating under still,
I might have it with me. Let me see. Which one?
the only one.
Well, the only one.
That's a matter of opinion.
Yeah, well, the
The only
only
one that's been adopted.
There's
a new one.
There's
Yeah,
several
okay.
new ones, but there's only one old one.
Okay, community plan land use designations, that parcel is not within the boundaries.
It's showing that it is. In the,
This is as of January 2008.
No, but this would be older,
No,
older.
no,
The really old
that's only
one,
the plan that was adopted,
in 96 or something.
There was no Valley Springs community plan adopted
what's
since
agricultural,
1975.
what's agricultural rural? Because this is the whole boundary of the community plan.
Right, I know, and that parcel sticks out of the bottom right
No, I'm talking about the rest of it here.
Oh, the rest of it.
I'm wondering,
The rest of the
what is
parcel,
the
I'm
minimum
sorry.
density for
Agricultural
agricultural rural?
That's current county land use, you would know that better than me.
Well, I was just hoping that you would know, because I don't know. I'd have to go look it up, I don't have it in front of me, so.
my memory, but
Okay.
it's not.
We're okay.
So we, okay. Thank you, sorry about that.
Sorry.
I haven't yelled at anybody.
So,
Don't start.
what's further discussion? What do you get?
so we don't know,
I'm going to assume it's 5 acre.
5 acre.
I'm going to give him what he had.
I'm going to give him what he had. I think that's the precedence we've been sticking with today pretty much. And what do you think, Billy?
I think if we do that in every case,
We're going to go back to what we had.
we're going to go back to what we had. I think so far, though, until we got to this one, there were good reasons, in addition to that, for making the change. And this one, I'm still thinking about it because it's not a water district, doesn't have any sewage, public sewer. It's a pretty big chunk of property. As far as I can tell, there are no plans now to develop it. And so I'm having a little bit of trouble with this one.
It's going to have a byway through it. It's going to have a byway through it.
Maybe.
Ted, what are your feelings about this?
I agree, I mean, that's what they want.
So, you say yes, you say yes, you say yes.
What'd you say?
Well, I have problems with it because it is too big, but we have 3 votes for, if we had to officially say it, but I'm good with just going with you guys, even though I have reservations like Kelly does, but.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
I have reservations, but
So the
Not
change
strong
would
ones.
be to rural transition B,
Yes.
5 acre minimum parcel.
On the one, not the other one.
Well, there's,
there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yes,
there's actually 5 parcels total.
but, right.
The 42.1, the 003 that Colleen brought up,
Stays
that's
the
the one
same.
that he says he's okay with keeping at a 40?
This one here.
Yeah.
Yes. And then
The
I
rest
would
would
make
be,
the motion for the rest to be changed to 5 personally.
Well, I think we're already there.
Yeah, okay.
So could you very loudly ask
Mr.
Mr. Russell
Stevens?
to go to the...
Mr. Stevens.
Okay.
Woohoo!
All right, so it's 20 to 5. Is anybody having like a burning one that in short that we could get to today, or can we wait till next week?
I'd like to get to him because he was so kind to stand down.
No, she's talking about you.
We're talking about you.
Okay, my parcel number's, David Coffey in Wallace. My parcel number is 048-042-046. And at one time, it was rural residential 5, and I I've been paying my taxes all along, but I haven't been keeping up to see when it got changed or what. And I would like to leave it at 5. I don't know if it's 5 at this moment, or if it was quite a while back that it was 5.
Yeah,
I
he's
guess
on
I
the
had it
top
at
page,
76, I believe I got it, and it was at 5 at one time. And I'd like to leave it at 5. It's 37 acres.
Peter, what is WL?
Working lands.
Oh, I knew that. I'm getting tired. And so 5 to 10 acre lots to northeast, south, west, consistent with existing zoning. Half of site is flood zone.
This was one that I debated on.
Okay.
And for that very reason, the flood zone issue. I'm trying to see where it is. Where is it? Where'd it go?
FEMA panels?
FEMA panel effective 12/17/2010.
Yeah. So this is what we're currently operating under. Oh, that's just the panels, no. That is the current FEMA flood zones, but as you may recall, we are working on update to it that's more accurate. And the purple shows the update more accurate.
It's a little skinnier, but.
It's skinnier in some area and covers another area. So
Yeah.
It's predominant.
the concern that I had and why I ended up sticking with the working lands on this is I'd say about half the property is within a flood zone.
Yeah.
Well, I was living there in 97 when a lot of water came down. That creek's very wide. It's very wide.
So you're saying it did flood?
It ran real well. The water ran down real well.
Did your home flood?
No. I was living in a trailer there.
Okay.
And the water didn't come up to the levees. It shoots through there real good.
What would be the restrictions, I mean, if you, on?
Well, we would not be able to, okay, it's 37 acres, so 5, you could conceivably create 5 or 7 lots on that. Every lot would have to have an area that was outside of the flood zone. And I think that would be challenging on this property, given all the purple area is essentially unbuildable.
Right.
I mean, I would see 2 15s at most.
I get your point there, Peter.
Yeah.
So, maybe 10s,
Yeah.
maybe the RTA rather than working lands.
Or versus RTB.
Because otherwise, 20 acre minimum could not be split at all. So you could potentially, and again, I don't know what access is to the site, how all that would have to work out from a.
Well, Creek View is.
Okay, it's right along the top there.
Underwater.
Yeah, see all those places where it's, what is it, 5, all 5s? I
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
5, all those are 5s.
So everything around it is primarily 5s. There's some larger lots below, but
There's a bridge where the.
I do not
right
want to
there.
see that subdivided.
And water shoots through there pretty good. That bridge
That's
is
asking
built.
for danger.
I don't know, I've been there since, like I said, 76. And the bridge was there then. It was a real big culvert they put in, I guess the farmers a long time ago. Water shoots through there pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
We're just struggling with the floodwaters.
I'm really struggling with it because if there's major impacts and if that was subdivided, you're going to be adding more potentials for floods for people's homes
Couldn't there be a restriction on the house being so high? I used to build homes a long time ago. I'm 70.
Well, there
I'm
is
70 now, I'm being
elevation
204.
builds, but when you look at this and you look at the flood potential, so if I look up above you and I look at those parcels that are there, and they've got some smaller parcels, we just added 4 new parcels to our county that are now flood parcels. And if we drop over and down, because those were broken up smaller, it added that many more parcels into the flood zone. So if we allowed yours to be broken down, I mean, that's adding a whole lot of potential for disaster to our county. That's tough. So Peter could, instead of,
I didn't have, when I was there in 97, all the water stayed.
you know, I
That was-
understand
that was
what
our
you're
big
saying.
year. That was their big year.
I understand what you're saying, but and when you say that it didn't flood this year, that's not how the state, that's not how FEMA, and that's not how the insurance companies look at it. They're looking at the bigger picture.
100-year
They're
flood
looking at our
statistics.
county as a whole and how much flood potential we have. You know,
I haven't seen this floodplain before. This
Would
one-
you-
this one
would-
here.
Oh, you haven't seen the map before?
I haven't seen this floodplain.
oh, okay. It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
And to,
Yeah.
then to allow that to be broken down would be adding some disaster to us if we, I mean, Juan was suggesting, you know, not breaking down to 5s, and potentially you've got basically 2 build-out areas there. Maybe 2 10s,
3 10s. all right.
3 10s, and the third 10 would be all flood.
Well, it depends how you
Could be
design
down
it. You
in
know,
the-
you could have 2 building sites here with another one over here, or vice versa, you know, depend on, you know, how you design your access to it. You know, you could create a lot that gets here and something there, and then a larger piece down there. I don't want to try to design a subdivision on the fly here, but I think that, you know,
Well, Peter, I can see why you struggle with
and it
that.
may be that he ends up getting 2 out of it, even though it could potentially have
Right.
3, just by the time you figure out
Logistics
access
of it.
and, you know, driveways and everything else.
So what would be the 10s?
RTA,
Yeah. So he could theoretically put 3, but logistically, maybe only 2.
Is this one of the maps that's undergoing revision?
this purple is the draft map that I hope we'll be bringing to you sometime this fall.
It's already been.
It's already, that's
The
it.
engineering is done, we're in the process working with FEMA to get it released for public comment. There'll be a fairly lengthy public comment process to upgrade the FEMA maps. But this is the most recent, based on LiDAR and more and additional study, compared to the older version, which was
A little
blue.
wider.
The blue
which
going
was
out west.
based on some pretty inaccurate information.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Okay, now
Mr.
assume that the proposed map becomes the map, and somebody wants to build in the purple, what happens?
You have to.
They have to demonstrate that they are at or above the base flood elevation.
Okay,
So when you drive down past the levee, you see the homes that are built on piers, or they have to get
So
up
for
in
existing
elevation.
lots, so he wanted to build a house here. He could build it outside the flood zone, or he'd have to get it engineered to be above the base flood elevation. To subdivide the land, to do a parcel map, we would have to be able to demonstrate that there are buildable areas outside of the floodplain. We can't create new lots that are fully within the floodplain.
now if you go with a 10-acre minimum, that cuts down the number of lots you could put on the green part. If you go with a 5-acre minimum, that increases the number of lots you can put on the green part, right?
Right,
Where there's no flood issue.
right.
That's a good point, a good way to look at it.
So why would we, why is it inappropriate to go with the 5-acre, which gives him more flexibility in building, and that's what he did have historically, and this is not a large piece of land. And if somebody wants to take the chance and build in the purple and put their house on stilts, why isn't that their issue?
They'll just have to pay the flood insurance.
Yeah, but
Well, it would
that's
be-
what the
yeah,
market's
well,
about.
No, we could not create new lots that are fully within the purple.
Right.
There would have to be a building site outside of the purple area.
Okay, then why is the purple area such a big issue here? Because if you can't create lots inside of it anyways, all you're talking about is the green upon which you can create lots. And why isn't 5 acres appropriate there?
You bring up a good point.
I guess it just seemed that based on the constraints, we would not want to be encouraging development in that location along a floodplain. Additional development.
And is there anyone else that wanted to talk about Mr. Coffey's request?
I have a question on my way out. Contra Costa County, Bethel Island. House is way up on a stilt. And I don't know when was there, if there's any flooding ever took place over here. Has there been any flooding in the past 100 years?
Could you state your name for the record?
Yes, I'm Mr. Race from 5th District. I live in Discovery Bay. We were worried about 500-year floods. But has anybody remember having flood in that section? You guys are all too young. But there has been no flooding in the past 100 years, has it?
2006, there was.
I don't know, Mr. Coffey had some flooding there. He experienced it.
It's never got close to the bank since I owned it in 76. 76, and I lived there in 96 when we had the big rain, when we had the flood.
And if they pay cash for, let's say, property on there in a flood zone, FEMA can stick it someplace where the sun's not shining. Because the only way they're making money is they sell insurance to the bank. That's when they get the 18% commission. But if somebody wants to take it, buys a piece of land, middle of the flood zone, and it's his house, and he's willing to take a chance, that's his right.
Building department would never give a permit in a flood zone like that.
On what basis?
On everything we've gone through
Safety.
next to Gold Creek since.
Health and safety. Thank you, you were awesome, we appreciate your input.
Quit flirting with me. Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else? Oh, wait a minute, excuse me, Mr. Coffey, we've got one other.
Just wanted to ask a question. Colleen Platt, My Valley Springs. I'm just wondering if you were to choose RTB, the 5 to 10 acre, right, minimum?
Well, one's 5, one's 10.
Whatever,
Isn't
I
it?
think
Yeah.
are RTB. 5 acre, if you were to go with 5 acre, would that possibly understand, this gentleman understands the limitations of the property, and now he's seen the floodplain map, but
Someone else?
for a future purchaser, they haven't seen that. Would that lead to possibly unrealistic expectations of, here you've got this property with a 5 acre
I suppose
zoning?
that would
And
come
lots
back
of
to
people
the-
have come forward and said, well, my property says I can do this, and they
Right.
don't know anything about the restrictions on the property, so
Might come back to those real estate disclosures.
just a
huh?
consideration
Well,
there.
Well, not that if you sold it privately and not everybody pays attention, but there is a natural hazard disclosure that has
Yeah.
to be a part of the sale, that is state mandated, and it does disclose the flooding. So, but if it was a private
And
sale.
99%, I suppose, of the situations you would be alerted to it. But yeah, I mean, it could be that someone would buy it.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to buy property and not know a lot about it.
Yeah, that's, well, we're seeing more and more of that, yeah. Mr. Coffey?
The other gentleman
Yes.
who spoke, I did not know him.
Oh,
I didn't bring him here.
Oh, I know.
Well, we know him.
We
It's
know him.
okay.
He's always here.
We know you didn't bring him. We know you didn't bring him.
It was helpful that what he said, but I did not.
Oh, I know.
I just want to bring that
We
up.
appreciate
But
that.
I've seen houses built up high.
Yeah.
You know, well, I was a builder at one time. I'm
Yeah.
70 now, so I don't do that anymore. But I have a 40-year-old son, and I kind of wanted to keep it where it would be more valuable to him as 5.
Right.
And possibly work something out where his kids or something. And I've seen houses built up high before.
Right. Well, let us talk a little bit about it and.
I've never, I was there when we had the big flood in 96, and things were, things were way below.
Okay,
level.
thank you. Discussion, commissioners?
Kelly, what Kelly said made a lot of sense. If he was going to have the potential to make it more than one, he's going to need the smaller density. I think it should be 10s, but he has the potential with 5s to get one whole lot completely out of the flood zone.
Well, I mean, and even so, the building area in a certain lot, some of it could be in the flood zone as long as it had enough for the building area. So that also makes sense with me with the 5s, because then essentially you could throw it across the flood zone and have 5 more acres there. So it would be a 10-acre lot, usable most of the year, except for during that 100-year flood situation.
That'd be a great lot to grow on. You've got plenty of water.
Ted?
I tend to agree with the 5-acre idea, because more likely to find 1 or 2 pieces you could use.
All right, so is there a consensus here about the 5-acre?
1, 2, 3, 4.
For me, there is.
Yeah, okay. All right. Mr. Coffey, you're good to go.
Oh, great.
Well, you still have to make it through the environmental report, so.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Well, it's 5 to 5.
I think there's only one person left, right?
If there's only one?
Yes.
Well, come on up.
Oh, he might take 3 days.
Well, at least we could start if it's going to be a...
Yeah, my name is Dave Haley, representing Castle and Cook, and we have 3 projects in Copperopolis that contain in excess of 4,600 acres. So I don't know if you'd want to start this or...
I think we might. 4,600 acres.
And there's 3 different projects that we have issues on.
I think yours is going to take a long time to go through, Dave.
Longer than 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you okay with coming back?
I guess I have to.
We might be a little fresher, too.
Sure.
Well, you might
Is that
wanna-
next Tuesday then?
No, it's next Thursday.
Excuse me, next Thursday?
Next
morning?
Thursday, we're coming
At
back.
9 a.m. So you'll do those other 2 gentlemen and then...
Yes, we will. We'll take you, I think, there's 2 ahead of you, and then we'll get right on to yours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Sorry to make you sit through this all day.
We had one other one, and I was wondering, we come back next Thursday on that? Or whenever you meet again, would that be fine, or should we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, come back next week.
Yeah. Came up with another one.
So I suspect there may be other people that did not show up today thinking that they weren't going to get to it, so we may have more people show up on Thursday. We'll make sure that as many people
Oh,
as
I'm sure this
possible
isn't
are there.
the end of it,
I
yeah.
have a couple I have to call and let them know where we're at because we thought we were going by towns.
Yeah. So,
And they'll be long.
So, any other reports?
no.
Okay. So, with that, any other comments, all right,
So
we are,
just maybe to make it more official, I don't know if we want a motion to make those changes that we identified today, or why don't we do that? I will read the changes that you agreed upon, and then there could be a motion
Okay.
to revise the map accordingly.
and then also after that, then maybe a summary of the ones we've continued,
Sure.
and then the order that we'll start on next Thursday.
Okay.
There should be 3 of them.
So the lots, I don't really have the complete detail. Mr. Fairchild, representing himself as well as the Sierra Nevada Adventure Corporation, Recreation Corporation, 2 changes in Mountain Ranch to commercial recreation, and I believe there were 4 lots on the west side of Parrots Ferry Road off of Moaning Cave Drive that were also changed, and then the parcels on the west side that he represented were also changed to commercial recreation. So those were 2 changes. Anita Pack had 4 lots on the Calvaritas. 38, 013, 039 through 42, and those are to be changed to resource production. The Wilson's 3 parcels, 46, 001, 151, and the other two on Highway 12, changed to or Residential Transition B, RTB. The parcel on Murray Creek Road, 44009-097, also changed to RTB. Mr. Stevens, the property on the east side of Valley Springs, also changed to RTB except for the 140-acre lot that was at the southern end surrounded by the public land. And finally, Mr. Coffey, the last property we just talked to, 48042-046, also changed to RTB.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay. And then the two items we were to bring
I
back.
think there's three.
Three?
Well, including Mr. Haley, since he started, he'd be the third.
Well, yeah. To investigate more on the other historic properties in the McCollum Hill area
Well, maybe not historic properties, but the historic designation, community center historic.
well, yes, and the issue there was that we have the center of town, but there
Yes.
were a number of historic properties that were in the draft community plan that the community had recommended to the county had included those individual parcels also as
But they
historic center.
they weren't necessarily historic. There were just other properties.
So we need to go back and look at that
At the community plan map.
draft plan
Yes.
map and see what other.
Yes, and there's not that many. There's maybe 3 or 4, and there's kind of in his neighborhood.
And then the other issue that we need to research, we can come back next week, would be sort of the history of the zoning and land use designation on the property around or the old clay pit mine and that property. So we'll bring those two back and then we'll discuss, we'll get into
Mr.
Copperopolis.
Haley. Oh, and yes, into
Mr. Haley,
Copperopolis,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, it may take a while.
Go ahead, proceed. When do we get to talk for a minute?
Well, I think this is it.
Now.
So we're done. Go ahead and talk.
Okay, about a little bit about, I appreciate you sending out the public comment last night, and once we get moved through most of these where the people are in here, being able to apply the public comment and not having to search through all those records would be very useful. And I appreciate what you do have here, and some of this will come forward when we do move forward in the future, but being able to...
This is my binder of the requests and so my investigation and all the correspondence I received. So I will send that to you electronically. You can copy it if you want. What's the best way so that you have additional sort of backup information on this? Some of the stuff we've discussed already, some we
Right.
didn't get to because they weren't here. Some of it is things that I've recommended that I've included in the changes. I could just scan it all and send it to you if that's easiest. Certainly would be easiest for me.
Well, and probably that would be fine. Yeah?
Well,
Yes.
I need a hard copy.
Okay.
I deal in hard copies.
Anyone else need a hard copy?
I don't want a hard copy.
I don't either.
Let me just ask you this, because I can go through digitally, but, the ones you highlighted in yellow are pretty much, for the most part, straightforward. So, that's what they are. So, as we get into the other ones that nobody's here to speak for, you're going to also go ahead and pull that binder out, and we'll be discussing those as we move forward too, to remind us so we don't have to have a hard copy in front of us when we show up here also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm still enlightening myself to the process.
Well, we're all learning them. We haven't been.
Yeah,
through
no
this.
one's been through this before.
We
so
haven't been
it's
through
all,
this
it's all
before
new.
either.
But I appreciate it, Peter.
So it's
You've
not
done
like-
a phenomenal job for me, at least so far, and I appreciate everything you've had.
It's not like we're seasoned veterans here, yeah.
I've got a question going forward. Today, we accommodated the people who were here, which made perfect sense. But we're going to have a program here that doesn't just rely on who shows up, and they get to speak and we deal with their issue. I thought the original plan made sense, which was to start at one end of the county and move on down with the APNs, and to try to give people some sort of notice that their number was going to come up, likely to, so they know to show up. If we don't do something like that, it seems to me it's just going to be sort of random who gets heard, because they're just either going to show up or not, and they don't know when they're supposed to. So I would like to suggest that once we get through the next session where we've agreed to hear certain people, because they were here and there were issues that we couldn't deal with today, that we do go back to some sort of a regular procedure where people know when their issue is about to be heard and can come, and other people don't have to come because their number's not going to come up.
The only issue about that, if we did that, if we said, oh, next, September 1st, we're going to do Wellesleyville, there may be nobody but here from Wellesleyville. And so then what?
Well, I think you lump enough in so that you'll have a day. But, to jump all over the county to me doesn't make any sense.
Right. Well, we pretty much accommodated everybody today.
We did, but for example, the people up in Tamarack who have a request for a change weren't here. They may not have known they were supposed to be here.
Well,
I don't know.
In the letter that I sent to them, I explained how we had anticipated going through in numerical order.
And we would have started
they
with
sent a
them.
letter and they didn't, they would have been first in line if we'd gone that
I mean, I
route.
understand. I mean, theoretically, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I'm just not sure that we can do it that way by saying, okay, well, today is District 5, because what if everybody in District 5 is, what if there aren't that many requests and then they're all voting on that day? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know how else we can do it, because take the Tamarack people, for example. I mean, if we have it set up, so we're going to do Tamarack, Wilseville, West Point, and if you don't come, we're going to consider your matter anyway, with the information we have, and that'll be behind us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know how we get through this.
Well, the other thought is that people can come whenever they can come. They can make it whenever they come. It's not like if they don't make it on the Tamarack day, they can't have their day in court. They can come on another day.
So everyone's been noticed that we've started these hearings. Do they think that we're meeting weekly, or do they think we're meeting bi-weekly?
I think it directs them to the website to get information.
Right.
But if they went there originally and they thought they were further down on the list according to the staff report, and they're expecting bi-weekly, and then we meet next week, we have just thrown off a whole bunch of public.
Well, we could try it. We could try,
I think that
and see how it works, too.
What I was trying to do was a blend of what we did today and what Commissioner Wooster is suggesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that we try to work our way through systematically through the county, but knowing that people's schedules don't always sort of fit that we have some flexibility.
I like that.
And so I think that we take care of the 3 people we promised we hit first, and then we go back to Tamarack. And if they're not here, they're not here. And we work our way through the list. And if someone shows up, gee, I didn't realize you were going to get to me today because you moved so fast through the rest of it, and they show up, the following week, we can go back.
Okay, that's what I
But
was
when we're
making
done,
sure
we're
we can
done.
go back.
At some point in time, we're going to say, there's no one else here, we've gone through the list, we're done.
Yeah. So if Colleen doesn't show up next week and Joyce, we just keep going. We'll be here.
I'm not worried about that.
This is too interesting in education. Can I be here?
Yes, well, let's go to the public comment period. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, great discussion. What happened today was surprising to me, and I think the way we expected it to go was more systematic through the list. And I was kind of shocked that we got to all these areas and made all these decisions that I didn't think we'd even get to. So I think the public might have a similar expectation that things were going to go more slowly and that you were going to start here and maybe in 2 weeks you might get to their area. So I don't know if a press release or something can be put out, just say, hey, we're moving through this whole thing, show up before we've missed you,
Well, we're going to
or
go back
something.
and go through each one, but people have work schedules, and it makes it very difficult for them. So,
Right.
like Peter said, we need to try and accommodate the public to be able
I
to
agree.
be heard.
I'm
That's
agreeing
important
with
to
that.
me.
I'm agreeing with that.
Yeah.
I'm saying, most people don't know, now they don't know you're meeting every week. Normally, you would meet in 2 weeks, so people would say, okay, they're not going to get me, today I'll probably,
Colleen, you won't be making a press release about that?
yeah, but I only send it to, let me see, 275 people get our email. That's not the thousands of people in the county. So I'm concerned that people don't understand this process, and they may not know when to come up.
So, well,
Yeah.
I mean, so this list doesn't start with Tamarack.
Yeah, I was confused about that, too. I thought it was
it's-
West Point and Wilseyville first.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Well, when I first said that, I was saying, I didn't realize we had one request in Tamarack.
Yeah.
Which is 02, the very first one.
Okay.
My list starts with
I
Tamarack.
do think if we could put something
Mine
out to
does
say
too.
that we're going to be meeting weekly, but I also really like accommodating the public, because this is important to people's lives.
I'm
So-
agreeing with you. I'm encouraging you to
I
let the
know.
public know that anybody come anytime, because we're just taking all requests now. Because I thought it was, the way the
Systematic.
article read was it was going to be more
And I had told a
systematic.
couple of people, you will not be heard on Thursday.
Exactly.
That's what I had told a
Exactly.
few people. and-
Exactly.
So we'll make sure there's a big notice on our website, on general plan about, public hearing on Williams Map continue to, 1 week to the 18th. And
Can the
I'm sure I'll
county-
be in contact with Terry Grillo from the
newspaper.
newspaper. We did have an ad, we did a public notice ad in the paper on it.
And I'll contact the people that I know are waiting till until warning them.
So are we going to start here then, when we come back after the 3?
Yeah, so what are we really doing?
Well, it's up to you, what you think is best. The best
Well,
way to
it
go
would
about
be helpful to the public. I mean, if we're going to
So
start here.
why don't we finish with the
The
three
three.
people that we talked to, and I think that Mr. Haley will take some time
He
to
will.
debate those issues.
Yep,
And then we can say, okay, now we're going back to the list.
and
Right.
start
and
systematically
start
going down
systematically
it.
through the
And
rest
so
of it.
people can even look, even if you have the, if you have the list, and we
Yeah.
know, and we're starting here on the list. That would be
And
helpful.
some of the requests may take 5 or 10 minutes, and some may
That's
take an
right.
hour.
I know.
So it's hard to
Right.
say, we're going to stop at this point, because we may end up at 2 o'clock in the morning and hit that part, and don't want to waste, 3 hours of time. Ultimately, my task is to get this thing to the board.
Right.
So I don't
I
wanna-
like what happened here today, because we cleared this room and these people got to be heard, so that was important.
So I think
No, but I
that-
agree, we can make some improvements,
Yeah.
so, but we're all new at this too, and I think there's some good ideas and suggestions about how we proceed.
But you will be still taking anybody that wants to come up and...
I
Yes.
think so,
I think
and
so, to
I,
accommodate work schedules,
Yeah.
absolutely, I think we should.
So even though you're going to try to start the list,
Yes.
it still may happen just like today.
Yes.
could.
20 people show up.
It could. And I don't know if you've got, it's like some places, like what I found out when you go to the DMV, if you just show up, you take a number, or you have an appointment. And if you have an appointment, then, they have an
Are we
appointment line.
Still in public comment a little bit?
Yeah, it is.
I think we all ought to do everything we can do to drive people to see the videos, to see how the meeting progressed, to see what challenges were faced, and to see how you guys were making your decisions. We're going to do that. Susan, you need to do that too. Good girl. But you see what I mean? We all have to drive everybody to all the videos. We're getting good viewership, but I think as this unfolds, we may get more, and it may help.
Yeah, good.
It may help.
So what
That's all.
did you think? What did you think?
I was glad that it was as pleasant as it was, and even though it got emotional, for some people, I fully understand that because they've got so much invested in it. But this is so big, And it's like you don't get a second chance. That's the way I feel. I know you do, but this is so big, you don't get a second chance.
Yeah.
So you got to do it. We all have to do it as good as we can do it.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
All right, well, thank you, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
I tried to give you a day off.
We have a game plan then?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We're adjourned till next week.
All right,
Good night, y'all.
good night.